Chapter 4:22. Most of the fans of Little Nocturne were music lovers, so they could easily distinguish the different sounds of the three instruments: piano, violin, and cello. When put together, they were like a small symphony orchestra. The violin's improvisation was spontaneous and natural. The cello's coordination was just right. The piano's addition enriched the timbre and pushed the climax of the ensemble to the peak like the icing on the cake. In the piano room, Jiang Jojo closed her eyes and immersed herself in the performance. Soon, she ended the improvisation and skillfully transitioned to the last movement of Prelude to Spring. The light and nimble music was infused with the beautiful aura of spring, and it slowly and gently hit the softest corner of one's heart. When the last note fell, the violin, cello, and piano ended the piece neatly. It was as if someone had pressed the mute button. Everything was silent. The pop-up comments seemed to have been cleared too. However, a few seconds later, the screen was flooded with comments. Did Nuwa make me up to make up the numbers? Oh my god. Did you really not rehearse? Did you just improvise? I've been learning the zither for 3 years, and I still can't remember the score, even when I play a new piece from time to time. Are these two girls human notation machines? The long-awaited ensemble could be said to be hearty. Jiang Jojo panted slightly and looked at Xiangyi. Xiangyi was also staring at her and applauding with smiling eyes. You're so impressive. Jiang Jojo suddenly felt a lump in her throat. As a talented child, she had already taken a shortcut compared to ordinary people when it came to learning the zither. However, even geniuses had to work hard to defeat other geniuses. After learning the zither for more than 10 years, it was normal for her fingers to develop calluses and blood blisters. Even her parents and teachers would reprimand her. Xiangyi was different. She would always encourage her gently. You're not bad. Jiang Jojo said proudly. You must have not played for a long time. Your skills are far worse than before. I'm too busy. Excuses. They're all excuses. She was clearly more talented than Jiang Jojo, but she insisted on cooking. Jiang Jojo was exasperated with her. Do you want to consider joining Orpheus? When the contrarians heard this, they were amused. Is the Orpheus Orchestra a place you can go whenever you want? Okay, I admit that she can play the cello. But does Orpheus want her? Don't insult the Orpheus Orchestra. That is the sacred ground in the hearts of young performers. It's not something someone like the Vase Fairy can tarnish. There was a lot of discussion in the bullet screen, but in reality, Xiangyi's expression was very calm. She shook her head and said, Jojo, I want to do what I like. Fame and fortune, applause and slander, she did not need and did not care. Because he had lost everything before, he knew what was the most precious. Jiang Jojo pursed her lips, feeling a little upset, but she was determined to respect Xiangyi's choice. She pushed Xiangyi out of the piano room. You go out first. I want to be alone for a while. Xiangyi was a little bewildered, but she still nodded and did as she was told. The door was closed and the soundproofing of the piano room was excellent. Jiang Jojo was fearless as she moved her face closer to the cameraman's lens. Orpheus invited E when she was 15 years old. She doesn't need her eyes, but she can donate them to those in need. My sister is just that outstanding. I'm going to piss you off. Chapter 4:23. In the live stream, the netizens were stunned at first, but they immediately reacted. Is Jiang Jojo insulting the haters? Today's cuteness is a critical hit. What kind of peerless cutie is this? Wow, Missy is really just being arrogant on the surface, but she's actually very protective of Sister E. I'm in love with her. When can I have such a sisterly relationship? Our 8-person dormitory is going to debut in a palace drama. The amount of information in Jiang Jojo's words also shocked the netizens. She was invited by the Orpheus Orchestra at the age of 15? Doesn't that mean that Xiangyi is just as capable as Jiang Jojo in music? Nuwa, when you created Sister E, you must have meticulously crafted her, given her a free cheat code, maxed out her talent, and even created a few immortal brothers for her, right? Outside the door, after Xiangyi was pushed out, She happened to see Shui, who was by the French window. Dressed in cotton sportswear, the man was reluctantly rubbing Xiao Naofu, who was unwilling to be rubbed by him. The reason was none other than the fact that there were no more material. Li Jinyu was now beginning to despise Shui. Without Sister Yi around, he felt that he was simply too boring. He was either reading a script or a book, which was often mistaken for still images. In desperation, the production team had no choice but to bring Xiao Naofu and little Shiji over so that the audience could at least enjoy the cat. Xiao Naofu and Shui could be said to be disgusted with each other. Shui rubbed Xiao Naofu casually, obviously distracted. Xiao Naofu stuck its buttocks out at him and used its body movements to express its disdain for him. Little Shiji, on the other hand, was docile and obediently nestled beside Shui's feet, dozing off in a daze. Hearing the familiar footsteps, Xiao Naofu broke free from Shui mercilessly and scurried toward Xiangyi. Xiangyi squatted down and caught it. Xiao Naofu rubbed itself against Xiangyi's chest affectionately and even pressed itself against her cheek in a bid to kiss her. Boom dash, Xiangyi kissed its forehead and asked softly, "Are you hungry? Do you want some milk powder?" Xiao Naofu glanced at Shui, wagged its tail ostentatiously, and let out a cute meow. Humph, see, this stupid woman still loves this hoo-hoo the most. Shui clicked her tongue and reached for her pocket out of habit. However, she quickly realized that he had quit smoking. He pressed the space between his eyebrows, feeling slightly irritated. Suddenly, a transparent and exquisite candy jar appeared in front of him. It was filled with lollipops, here fruit-flavored. The girl had a good voice. It was warm and soft, but not overly sweet. Shui thanked her and watched as she proceeded to make some goat milk powder for Xiao Naofu and little Shiji. Hugging the candy jar, he smiled happily and seductively. He raised his eyebrows at Xiao Naofu and lazily provoked, "Kitty, what should I do? I have candy, but you don't." Xiao Naofu let out a ferocious roar. Meow. In the live stream. This is the kind of couple that men should love. He's really giving out candy. Untimely sweetness is crying. That last syllable of yo is really asking for a beating, ha ha ha. In the director's office, Li Jinyu stared at Shui in disdain with a look of disdain. Look, if Sister E doesn't show up, it's just a still screen. As soon as Sister E shows up, he's a horny dog. Just when he thought that Shui was horny enough, he slowly picked up the kitten and asked with a chuckle, "Do you want a kiss, kitty?" Xiao Naofu shuddered with horror in its eyes. "Damn it, don't come over all, stupid woman, come and save me." Chapter 424. It tried its best to push Shui away with its furry paws, its resistance written all over its body. However, Shui deliberately misinterpreted its meaning. "You want a kiss? TSK, you're so clingy," Xiao Naofu barked angrily. Woof woof woof. A certain best actor, who had easily angered the kitten into barking, blinked his long eyelashes and teased, "You don't want it? You're such a hypocritical kitten. Do you want a kiss on the face? Or..." He deliberately tapped Xiao Naofu's mouth with his slender and fair finger. Xiao Naofu trembled even more violently, and its fur stood on end. Would I be embarrassed to bully Sister E? Would I bully a kitten? Of course, I wouldn't. The man's pale and thin lips were perfectly curved. Perhaps because he had just drunk some water, they were moist and glossy. He leaned over and inched closer to the soft kitten bit by bit, as if he was in slow motion in a movie. I don't know who to be envious of. God, let me have Xiao Naofu's soul. Ha ha ha. Xiao Naofu really doesn't know how lucky he is. Wait, didn't Sister E kiss Xiao Naofu just now? If Shui kisses it, wouldn't that be equivalent to indirectly kissing Sister E? Damn. Damn. Xiao Naofu was about to be kissed by him. Woof. Little Shiji bit Shui's pants fiercely and hostilely. Shui paused and glanced at the little Shiba Inu on the floor. Little Shiji was instinctively a little afraid of him, but its courage was commendable. Woof woof woof. Shui seemed to be deep in thought, and let go of Xiao Naofu with a smirk. Xiao Naofu scurried away so quickly that it left after images. It nestled at the kitchen door and stared in Shui's direction vigilantly. Little Shiji chased after it and lay down beside Xiao Naofu, licking its fur to appease it. At this moment, Xiangyi came out with 2 bowls of goat milk powder and asked in bewilderment, "Why are you guys here?" Xiao Naofu looked up aggrievedly and complained with its chubby face. "Meow meow, stupid woman, dog-like men are bad." Xiang Yi placed the bowl on the ground and coaxed it for a while before walking toward Shui. "Xiao Naofu," she said helplessly. Shui chuckled. "I was just teasing it." The production crew. The netizens. "Are you human? You're so calm and composed. You're worse than little Shiji." Xiangyi saw that the script from last time was still on the coffee table in front of him. She asked curiously, "Haven't you thought about it yet?" Shui pondered for a moment and said, "Actually, I wanted to ask you if you're interested in acting in a movie." Xiang Yi was stunned. "Huh? The Deshio to Shiji to Zian to E to. Best to be. To activate. She's just a variety show star. She doesn't have any representative works, yet she wants to reach the top in a single bound? Men are indeed creatures who think with their lower bodies. They have no bottom line when it comes to young and beautiful women. Hey, that's not how resources should be given." Xiangyi's acting skills in the TV series previously shocked me so much that I still have lingering fears. "Don't worry, you can take your time to think about it." At most, he wouldn't take on the role. It was inevitable that there would be regrets in life. Shui was quite open-minded about such matters. Recalling Si Chuanbai's call just now, he said, "By the way, Brother Si wants me to tell you that you have to film a variety show in the next 2 days." Coincidentally, the official Weibo account of National Mass Workout happened to announce the news almost at the same time as Shui. Chapter 4:25. Quanmin Lai Sports v. Xiangyi v. Sister E. Nice to meet you. It was a simple text that was much more straightforward and clear than a long speech. The comments section below the post exploded. Is Sister E a guest? What the heck? They actually invited Vase Ferry? Are you serious? Doesn't National Sports only invite A-listers or big shots? Everyone was discussing fervently. When the news spread to the live stream, it immediately caused an uproar. It's actually National Sports? Who dares to say that Xiangyi has no resources? No, this is the most popular variety show in the country with the highest viewership ratings. Only then did everyone realize how terrifying Xiangyi's popularity was. She could be considered the fastest rising female celebrity of the year. The spicy Tutu fans were emboldened and quickly retaliated. "Take away our sister, E, don't cue us." No way, right? No one really believes that Sister E doesn't have resources, right? Everyone, you can look forward to Xiangyi's performance on National Sports. Our Xiang Yi is awesome. No one dared to make any more comments, except for a few haters who were still talking about variety shows, but no one cared anymore. Although variety shows were not a good term, the popularity brought about by variety shows was obvious to all. In a sense, variety shows attracted more fans than film and television productions. Many actors were envious of the popularity of variety shows, but they were also wary of going on variety shows. Firstly, they were afraid that their character settings would be violated. Secondly, they were afraid that after their image was solidified, the audience wouldn't be able to immerse themselves in the show. Thirdly, they had to maintain a certain level of mystery and not oversell themselves. Hence, there were many restrictions. Xiangyi didn't have such worries. Instead, her performance was more natural, and it was easier for her to attract fans. Soon, the hashtag Xiangyi's new variety show hashtag became a hot search. At first, the program team of National Sports added fuel to the fire, but later on, it became a spontaneous discussion among netizens. Some people were looking forward to it, some were criticizing it, and some were criticizing it. However, everything could be summed up in a simple word: popularity. Many veteran managers and entertainment companies in the industry keenly sensed that something was unusual. Female artists had a harder time than male artists in this industry. Generally speaking, male artists had more data, traffic, and discussions than female artists. But Xiangyi, Her popularity was even greater than that of the other popular idols. People couldn't help but sigh. She was probably just short of a masterpiece. That was the moment when one would ascend to the pinnacle. Other than the variety show, there were two other hot searches related to Xiangyi. One was a duet with Zhang Juju, while the other was a video that many netizens clicked on and were dumbfounded. Why is there an additional piano ensemble? Wait a minute, this little brother is too handsome. While countless people were licking the screen, they also dug out information about the piano player. Little Nocturne, whose real name was Lingyi, was a student of a top music academy overseas. He was one of the Music District's Hall of Fame streamers signed by Xingqian. Most people's appreciation of music was only at the level of wow, it's so good, but Lingyi's appearance was really too outstanding. Hence, the video quickly became popular on the internet and attracted the comments of many professional music critics. E.g. Turtledove v. Tonight, Ms. Xiangyi and Ms. Zhang Juju played together to their heart's content and was extremely shocking. I also watched the duet with Mr. Xiao Nocturne, and after thinking about it, I'm really at a loss for words. Perhaps I can only describe it in 2 words, in my lifetime. Chapter 4:26. In this ensemble, the violin was fully deserving of being the protagonist, while the piano was an evenly matched opponent. It was as if they had met their match. The surprising thing was that the cello not only perfectly played the role of a foil, but it was also the best accompaniment and had a strong presence that could not be ignored. Its low and heavy tone neutralized the intensity of the battle. It had the vigorous vitality of spring when all things were growing and growing, as well as the gentle prelude when the snow melted and the ice river flowed. 3 instruments, 3 people. 1 + 1 + 1 no longer equaled 3. Gray Turtledove's evaluation could be said to be quite high. He was not the only one. Even a renowned musician in China, Old Moo, had reposted the video and added 2 words to it. Old movie, not bad. The netizens were shocked. If they remembered correctly, the last time Xiangyi accompanied C7, this big shot had come out to play the bass. They didn't expect him to come out and support Xiangyi again this time. His status in the music industry was comparable to that of a national team player. Such an existence actually appeared to support Xiangyi. However, this was just the beginning. Several masters of the folk music industry, such as Sanxian, Suona, and Guqin, anyone who knew how to use Weibo or had a Weibo account, all reposted, commented, and liked the video. The netizens looked at the master's Weibo verification and felt a sense of suffocation. This is outrageous. Are all these big shots quietly paying attention to Xiangyi? Oh my God, Xiangyi is the darling of the folk music industry. No, it's not just the folk music industry, but also the big shots of the classical music industry. This is the first time I've seen so many big shots of the music industry on Weibo. I suggest searching for the term #MusicLegacy hashtag. Oh my God, Senior's words really touched me. Some netizens clicked on the search engine, and the page froze for a few seconds before refreshing. Yu Suok V. Hey, the little girl can play the cello too? Thumbs #MusicLegacy hashtag. Raised catcalls Depang V. TSK. It's a pity that she doesn't play the eru with such proficiency. Chinese Folk Music Association V. There is no circle in music. Whether it's folk music or classical music, it's worth passing on. #MusicLegacy hashtag. Zhou Yao V. Xiangyi. Do you want to consider coming to Beijing Classical Music for graduate school? Guaranteed employment. Music Legacy hashtag. Anjurua. Don't fight with our Vienna orchestra, okay? Xiangyi, 5 insurances and 1 gold, a cello seat. Sister E. Do you want to consider it? #MusicLegacy hashtag. World Classical Music Association V. Thank you to the 3 excellent performers for allowing us to enjoy this musical feast. We also hope that in the future, there will be more young people who like folk music, pop music, and classical music, as long as it's music. Music Legacy hashtag. The netizens who saw this scene were all shocked. What was prestige? This was it. Who in the entertainment industry could get so many big shots and official Weibo accounts to support them? That night, more and more people remembered the name Xiangyi and remembered Xiangyi's unparalleled talent in music. After the live stream ended, Xiangyi took out another ruby, put it in a box, and meticulously wrapped a bow around it. Xiao Naofu's fierce meowing came from the direction of the balcony. Xiangyi walked over and realized that it was Xiao Naofu who was yelling at Shi Sui, who was standing on the balcony next door. In the night, the man's figure was tall and slender, and the cool breeze gently fell on the ends of his soft hair. Chapter 427. Seeing Xiangyi's figure, Xiao Naofu seemed to have found a backer and roared a few more times. Xiao Naofu, you can't be like this. Although it was a reprimand, it was very gentle. The little cat turned its face away. Humph. Xiangyi curiously asked Shi Sui, what did you do to Xiao Naofu? Why is it always so fierce to you? Shi Sui, you teased it and said you'd take it to be sterilized? Xiangyi said seriously, then don't say that in the future. Xiao Naofu is still a baby, and its heart is very fragile. You can't hurt it like this. Shi Sui readily agreed. Okay, I'll listen to Sister E. Hearing that the dog man could actually speak human language, Xiao Naofu's icy blue cat eyes widened in disbelief. Xiangyi, then you promise it. The girl raised the chubby, white, and soft little cat. Shi Sui probably didn't expect that there would be a day when he would bow down to Xiao Naofu. The tip of his tongue pressed against his chin in displeasure. After a few seconds, he sighed. Xiao Naofu, I won't scare you with sterilization anymore. He had to listen to Tutu's words. Xiao Naofu's tail swung twice in the air, dizzy from the sudden bliss that fell from the sky. The next second, it heard Xiangyi say, you're not allowed to be fierce to Shi Sui Gidge anymore. Xiao Naofu, meow. Humph, I won't listen. Xiangyi patiently persuaded. If you're obedient, I'll make you a luxurious seafood set meal, the kind that can have 10 ingredients. Xiao Naofu, would this hoofu bow down for a mouthful of food? Heh, of course. It made a sweet and soft meow in a flattering and coquettish tone. Okay, then you two, shake hands and make up, okay? Hearing this, Shi Sui and Xiao Naofu's eyes revealed rejection. But Xiangyi insisted. Thus, Shi Sui had no choice but to stretch out her bony fingers. Xiao Naofu also reluctantly stretched out its chubby paw. The man and the cat shook hands across the balcony for less than a second. Then, as if they had touched something dirty, they hurriedly retracted their hands. Shi Sui was rather calm, but Xiao Naofu couldn't tolerate it at all. It jumped out of Xiangyi's arms and got ready to look for little Shiji to lick. It did not want him to lick it. A dogman's hand definitely smelled like a dog. Looking at Xiao Naofu's back, Xiangyi couldn't help but laugh. It seems to have really gained weight. Its body was round, its fur was soft, and its legs were short. It looked extremely adorable. Shi Sui replied with a soft, uh-huh. Even he, who didn't like small animals, actually thought that Xiao Naofu was quite cute. But because she was cute, it was more fun to bully her. Smiley face. By the way, this is for you. Xiangyi handed the box over. Shi Sui was a little surprised and raised his eyebrows. I get a gift too? Xiangyi explained seriously. Children need to get gifts, and so do adults. Shi Sui seemed to be stunned for a second, or maybe it was just Xiangyi's imagination. The man's peach blossom-shaped eyes were curved inward, and his eyelashes were longer than a girl's. When they drooped down, they cast a faint shadow on his cold and fair skin. Opening the box, a ruby the size of a baby's fist reflected a dazzling light. It was unbelievably beautiful. Xiangyi said, although this isn't as pure as Jojo's, but it's big. It's shiny too. The man's lips curled into an ambiguous smile. It is quite big. Then, for some reason, Xiangyi was a little nervous. Do you like it then? Chapter 428. The night was gentle, and the moon was bright, and the stars were sparse. There was a faint fragrance of flowers in the air. Shi Sui stared at her and curled his lips, as if he was answering her question, but also as if he was confessing to her, I like it. Yes, I like everything that Xiangyi gives me. The clear eyes of the young girl in front of him curved up, as if they were filled with moonlight, quiet and beautiful. As long as you like it. Xiangyi smiled. I'll go in then. Wait a minute. Shi Sui stopped her. Huh? Xiangyi turned her head and looked at him in confusion. The man took out a velvet box from his trouser pocket and said, It's sponsored by the brand. See if you like it. Xiangyi opened it. It was a very delicate bracelet with a neutral design. There were a few diamonds on the bracelet, and each of them was big. As it spun, it reflected a dazzling light. Xiangyi knew a lot about jewelry because of the gem mine her aunt had given her. She asked, Will the brand sponsor such an expensive piece of jewelry? Shi Sui's expression didn't change. Xiangyi had always believed everything he said. She said, You're indeed popular. That was why the brand had sponsored such an expensive bracelet. Then is it okay for you to give it to me? Didn't the brand ask you to wear it? Xiangyi asked. No. Shi Sui chuckled. And I think it suits you better. Xiangyi picked it up and looked at it carefully. She liked this bracelet very much, so she didn't shy away from politeness and said graciously, Thank you. Do you want me to put it on for you? Xiangyi didn't think much of it and handed her hand and the bracelet to him. The man lowered his long eyelashes and carefully fastened the bracelet for her. His slightly calloused fingers inadvertently rubbed against the girl's fair wrist bone, evoking a slight itch. Xiangyi's fingertips trembled. All right. The man's deep voice pulled her back to reality. Xiangyi retracted her hand and curled up uncomfortably. Her voice was unbelievably soft. Thank you. So this is how it feels to like someone. She was deep in thought. Shi Sui blinked and asked, In that case, good night? Xiangyi, good night. The two of them said good night to each other, and Xiangyi went back to her room first. Her footsteps were light, and she even skipped a few steps. Shi Sui was still on the balcony with one hand in her pocket. She didn't find the cigarette box, but a lollipop. It was a candy from Tutu. His addiction to smoking was actually very strong. Enduring, until now, was almost his limit. However, the moment he saw the candy, his eyes were filled with lust. He slowly peeled off the candy wrapper and bit into it. The sweetness spread and stimulated the nervous system to secrete pleasurable dopamine. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He suddenly felt that quitting smoking was not that difficult. When Xiangyi returned to her room, Jiang Jujiu happened to push the door open and enter. When she saw the bracelet on her wrist, she squinted. Are you in a relationship with that dog of a man? She sounded as if she was questioning the scumbag's infidelity. Xiangyi said, No. Jiang Jujiu heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. I knew you wouldn't like him. Xiangyi hesitated for a moment, but she still chose to be honest with her friend. I think he might not like me. Jiang Jujiu was speechless. Looking at Jiang Jujiu's dumbfounded expression, Xiangyi calmed down. She didn't confess because she didn't want to affect Shi Sui during the live stream. However, liking someone wasn't something to be ashamed of. She nodded and said, Yes, I like him. Chapter 429. Pitter-patter. Jiang Jujiu froze in shock, as if she had been electrocuted. Her lips quivered, and she couldn't believe what she had just heard. How could my adorable and perfect fall for Shi Sui, that dog a man? Jiang Jujiu raised her hand and checked the temperature of Xiangyi's forehead before muttering to herself. Why isn't it hot at all? Xiangyi was caught between laughter and tears. I don't have a fever. No, you have a fever. Jiang Jujiu said firmly. Sit here obediently. I'll go get you a thermometer to measure your temperature. She pressed Xiangyi onto the bed forcefully, and after taking a few steps out, she realized that she was being a little too concerned and added proudly, Don't misunderstand. I'm just afraid that you'll infect me with your fever. Humph. A few minutes later, Jiang Jujiu looked at the number on the thermometer, 36. 8 degrees Celsius, and finally accepted the reality. E doesn't have a fever equals E is conscious equals E likes a dog of a man equals that dog of a man has snatched E away. Ah. Does he deserve it? He doesn't. Jiang Jujio asked resentfully. What do you see in him? Isn't he just good looking? Isn't he just successful in his career? Isn't he just... She suddenly paused and realized that she was talking about Shui's strengths. She flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, wake up, are you such a superficial person? You've seen all kinds of handsome men. Must you be lusting after his face? Xiangyi bit her lower lip and reflected for a few seconds before saying, I think I am. Jiang Jujio was speechless. Xiangyi said, he has a great figure too, he has abs. Jiang Jujio was speechless. So you're not only lusting after his face, but you're also lusting after his body. Jiang Jujio was so angry that she couldn't sleep well the entire night and couldn't get up in the morning either. Xiangyi covered her with the blanket and went out for a morning exercise. When she returned, she watered the plants and sprayed some activator. Sister E. Fu Jian was like a monkey. His hair was uncombed, and his face was unwashed. He rushed out and held his phone excitedly. I'm famous. After one night, in addition to the trio's ensemble that attracted a lot of attention, there was also something that people in the circle didn't expect. Fu Jian was on fire. The fire could be said to have caught them off guard, but if one were to examine it carefully, it would be logical. His popularity was already there, and he was also an A-list male star. It was just that he hadn't had any good works in a long time, so he had been relying on the image of the crown prince. He didn't expect that yesterday's interaction with Xiangyi would be trending, and his popularity would suddenly rise. His agent received a huge stack of scripts, and he received invitations from crosstalk masters, comedians, and Saturday talk shows. He was so excited that he spoke incoherently. Fortunately, Xiangyi was patient enough. After listening to him, she said with a smile, Congratulations, you've gotten what you wanted. Do you have any variety shows that you want to go on? Fu Jian clenched his fists and said with a serious expression, Actually, I really want to go, but I think Jiang Jujio is right. If I act in one show, people will like me because of one role. If I act in 10 shows, they might like me because of 10 roles. As an actor, I have to act well and perform well. That's the only way I can truly be responsible to my fans. When a young man was confident, he would look confident and dazzling even if he was unkempt. However, he only looked suave for 3 seconds before he smiled foolishly and said, Sister E, let's hug for the sake of our half-siblings. Behind him, a dangerous gaze was fixed on him. P.S. The freshmen have been busy reporting for the entire day. Because my roommates all go to bed early, I might have to write a lousy update today in order not to affect others. If I can find a way to write it, I'll update it. You can read it tomorrow, but it might not happen. Anyway, you don't have to wait for today. Good night. Chapter 430. Fu Jian didn't notice anything and simply stretched out his arms to give Xiangyi a bear hug. Xiangyi remained calm and took a step back to avoid Fu Jian's touch. You don't have to hug me. Fu Jian scratched his head and said, I'm not that ugly, due to the angle. Xiangyi didn't see the slender figure at the door. She said seriously, It's not because of you, I have someone I like. Oh. Huh. Fu Jian was shocked. Sister E actually has someone she likes? Who could it be? Before he came, he didn't know much about Two Under One Roof. He was usually busy with his schedule and rarely surfed the internet. He didn't even know what untimely internet was. Simply put, he didn't even have a 2G internet connection. He wasn't even connected to the internet, hearing the girl's calm and gentle voice. Shui tapped her fingertips against the wall, but the rhythm of her tapping was very chaotic. She has someone she likes. Could it be him? Or someone else? Shui realized that she was actually a little nervous. Until Sister E. I'm here to pick you up. Her manager, Annan's brisk and enthusiastic voice came from the direction of the gate. He was carrying a large school bag, dressed in a short-sleeved shirt and jeans, looking like a fresh college student. Si Chuanbai, who was dressed in a suit and exuded an elite aura, was standing beside him. The two of them were about 10 centimeters apart in height, and their clothing styles were very different. Surprisingly, they didn't look out of place when standing together. "Ah, Nan." Xiangyi smiled and asked, "Have you had breakfast?" Ah Nan said honestly, "Not yet. My car broke down, and Mr. C sent me here." Si Chuanbai, who was beside him, suddenly covered his mouth with his hand and coughed twice. Ah Nan immediately understood. Mr. C hasn't eaten either. Xiangyi said, "Come in then, I've cooked fish balls and rice noodles." Si Chuanbai smiled and said, "Sorry to trouble you, Miss Yang." The fish balls were made by Xiangyi early in the morning. She chopped fresh fish and mixed it with sweet potato powder. Then, she used the fish as the skin and wrapped it with various fillings. The fish balls were white and shiny, with thin skin and lots of fillings. The rice noodles cooked in the casserole were refreshing and smooth. After putting them into the bone broth, a spoonful of fish balls was poured over chopped green onions, chili oil, soy sauce, and other simple seasonings. The piping hot fish ball rice noodles was served in front of him. Gulp. Anand swallowed his saliva and suppressed his appetite. He pushed the bowl in front of Si Chuanbai. "Mr. C, please eat first." Si Chuanbai adjusted his glasses and passed the rice noodles over expressionlessly. "I'm not hungry yet." Anand's eyes lit up. "Then I'll eat first?" "Up to you." "Oh, yeah." Anand cheered in his heart as he picked up his chopsticks and started eating. The rice noodles were slightly chewy. The broth was mellow and warm, and the fish balls were the best. He ate pork fillings, shrimp fillings, mushroom fillings, tofu fillings. Every one of them was delicious. Anand was so hot that he couldn't stop breathing. "Phew." "Huh. See," Si Chuanbai said. "Slow down, no one's going to fight with you." "Wow, this is delicious." "This is delicious too." When it was Si Chuanbai's turn, he used all his self-control, but still couldn't restrain himself from eating. On the other hand, Fu Jiayan was also eating, without the burden of being an A-list actor. Anand was the first to finish a bowl, and made a heart to Xiangyi. "Sister E, I love you." Xiangyi smiled and made a gesture of catching her heart. Although she hadn't known Anand for long, she felt that the two of them were like best friends. Little did she know that Fu Jiayan, who saw this scene, suddenly looked horrified. "It's worrying." Shi Sui elegantly bit into a fishball, causing the gravy to splatter everywhere. The aroma made him squint slightly. "You're right." Fu Jiayan thought he was referring to the children. "Hey, senior, you don't like sons either?" Right. Younger daughters are better." Shi Sui suddenly said, "I'm also human." Fu Jiayan laughed. "Senior, your joke is really cold." "Ha ha ha, if you're not human, then what are you?" Shi Sui was calm and composed. Fu Jiayan's laughter stopped abruptly. "Who wouldn't love a human? I'm also human." His gaze was even more horrified. It was the kind of panic that one would feel when they suddenly connected from a 2G network to a 5G network. Chapter 432. Oh my God! Did I find out some big secret? Senior sure actually likes women. And the one he likes is Sister E. So here's the problem. He likes Sister E, but Sister E likes someone else. Doesn't this mean that we're back to the Matryoshka doll mode, a love triangle within a love triangle? It turns out that the one suffering the most is Senior Shi. Beneath his glamorous appearance was a sad man who cried silently in the middle of the night. Fu Jiayan's gaze toward Shi Sui gradually turned sympathetic. He boldly patted Shi Sui's shoulder and said, "Senior, it's not easy for you either." Shi Sui was confused. On the other side, after breakfast, Anand began to discuss work matters with Xiangyi. This time, Xiangyi was invited to save the day. A popular male celebrity who was originally invited couldn't participate for some reason, so the director of the program decided on Xiangyi at the last minute. "Good girl, I'll go with you for the next 2 days. That program is really tiring. You have to be mentally prepared. Anand said earnestly, wishing that he could take Xiangyi's place and suffer in her place. Xiangyi said calmly, "Do you want to eat dumplings? Wrap them up with meat, vegetables, and other delicacies, and chill them for dinner?" Anand was speechless. "I'll eat." "Okay, sit down and wait for me." Xiangyi went into the kitchen and busied herself, while Anand sat obediently on the small stool. He felt that he wasn't on a field trip, but a public trip with free meals. After the dumplings were wrapped, Anand took on the task of packing them, while Si Chuanbai helped him. Xiangyi simply packed her luggage and pulled it to the bedroom door. Shi Sui naturally took it from her. The man was tall and had long legs, so the height of the suitcase was a little low for him. He lifted it to the highest point and barely reached a comfortable position. "I'll send you out," he said. Xiangyi nodded and walked out while giving him some trivial instructions. "Don't feed Xiao Naofu too many snacks. It's time to lose weight. There are still leftover fish balls and dumplings in the freezer. You can make steamed dumplings and curry fish balls with Director Li and the others. Also, the fish tank I bought will arrive in the afternoon. Uncle Wang will send the fish over then. Please take good care of them for me." Shi Sui listened quietly, occasionally nodding to indicate that she was listening. The road to the gate was very long, but it also seemed very short. Shi Sui put the luggage into the trunk with one hand. Xiangyi inexplicably felt a kind of sadness of parting. So this is what it feels like to leave someone important, she thought in a daze. When her brothers left, did they also have such a feeling of loss? Shi Sui's words pulled her back to reality. "Sister E, have a safe trip." "Okay." Xiangyi blinked. "You should also take care of yourself." "I will. I'll be back as soon as I'm done with work." Xiangyi scratched her palm with her fingers, feeling a little itchy and uneasy. "Whatever you want to eat, I'll make it for you." Shi Sui stared at her with a gloomy gaze. Seemingly having thought of something, he smirked and asked, "You can eat whatever I want." "Yes." "Then it's a deal." His deep voice was warm and pleasant, making Shi Sui's heart skip a beat. "Sister E, you can't go back on your word." Xiangyi's face was pale, and she said with a solemn expression, "I won't." Afraid that Shi Sui wouldn't believe her, she stretched out her finger and said, "We can pinky swear." Shi Sui chuckled and was about to pinky swear with her when Zhang Jujio yelled hysterically behind them. "Ah, you're not allowed to hold hands." "No, no." Chapter 433. Xiang Yi inexplicably had a guilty conscience. She retracted her hand and hid it behind her back. Zhang Jujio didn't even change out of her bare-eared nightgown as she scurried over and stood between the two of them. "E, how can you hold a man's hand?" Xiangyi said, "No, I didn't. I just want to pinky swear with him. You want to touch a man's hand?" Zhang Jujio's interrogative tone made Xiangyi dumbfounded. Although there's no causal relationship between pinky swear and touching hands, it seems to be parallel. Zhang Jujio glanced around uneasily and said, "No, no." Shi Sui chuckled softly. He realized that Zhang Jujio really didn't know how to lie. Her body language and body language all betrayed her. As her best friend, Zhang Jujio, of course, could tell too. She stomped her feet in anger and exclaimed, You're not pure at all." Xiangyi pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Epsilon Shi Sui said gently, "Miss Jiang, Sister E is about to set off." Zhang Jujio snapped out of her trance and asked aggrievedly, "Why didn't you wake me up?" Xiangyi said, "I saw that you were sleeping soundly, so I didn't wake you up. However, I've left you some breakfast. It's in the fridge. You can eat it after heating it up. It's your favorite fish balls." Zhang Jujio's resentment instantly vanished because of Xiangyi's words. Her ears were red, and she tapped the ground with the tip of her foot. Pretending to be indifferent, she said, "So you still remember my preferences? I've always remembered that your favorite meat is fish, your favorite vegetable is kale, and your favorite fruit is mango." Zhang Jujio listened for a long time and was satisfied. She then pretended to say, Okay, I didn't ask you that much." After saying that, she glanced at Shi Sui from the corner of her eyes. Shi Sui didn't get angry and simply smiled politely. In contrast, Jiang Jojo seemed like an unreasonable child who was looking for trouble. Jiang Jojo was mature, steady, and magnanimous. Jiang Jojo was speechless. Scheming dog. Anan and Si Chuanbai also came out. Be good, we should go. Anan reminded. The filming started in the afternoon, and they still had to do their makeup and hair when they arrived. After all, National Mass Workout wasn't as casual as Two Under One Roof. Only then did Jiang Jojo slowly take out a pink purse from her pocket. Here, this is a peace talisman that I casually asked for. No, it's a free gift that I gave to others when I asked for one. You don't have to take it to heart. It's not something valuable. Just throw it away if you don't like it. Although he spoke proudly, his hands were trembling slightly. He was afraid that Xiangyi would refuse. Xiangyi took it and carefully put it in her pocket. She patted her pocket and said in a gentle voice, "Jojo, I will keep it well." Jiang Jojo felt a lump in her throat and she looked away. Leave then, don't say goodbye to me. I hate hearing those words. Xiangyi tilted her head and thought about it before suddenly giving Jiang Jojo a hug. She gently patted Jiang Jojo's back. See you next time then. Jiang Jojo's eyes turned red. You're a man of your word. Whoever stands you up is a dog. Okay. Fu Jian, who came out to join in the fun, was even more confused. Why is there another pair of romance lines? So, it's a love triangle within a love triangle, and then a love quadrangle. Si Chuanbai steadily parked the car at the filming location. In the dressing room, a woman's disgruntled voice sounded. Chapter 434. Are you kidding me? What right does that woman have to film the show? Does she deserve to be in the same frame as me? Your production team is really funny. Of all people, why did you hire a D-lister? Another person who seemed to be a staff member said in a humble tone, Sister Yen is right. Teacher Sue, please bear with us. Humph. You'll regret it sooner or later. She's a troublemaker. If she causes any trouble, don't expect me to clean it up for her. When she was almost done venting, a sweet and soft voice sounded like the spring breeze in March. Okay, don't make things difficult for her. I'll just be more careful. The staff member was relieved and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Thank you, Teacher Sue. You're so nice. Sister Yen said, forget it, I won't say anything else. Give us the mission card for this episode in advance. Well, the staff member was a little hesitant. According to the rules, they couldn't reveal it to the guests. But when he saw the beautiful face of the young woman in front of him, he was momentarily bewitched. Okay then, I'll send you the electronic version later. Remember, don't spread it. You're so nice. Thank you. Let's add each other on WeChat. I'll treat you to a meal when I'm free. What? A superstar actually wants to add a lowly staff member like me? The man suppressed his excitement and scanned the QR code to add Sue to me on WeChat. The three of them walked to Xiangyi's exclusive dressing room. Annan pursed his lips and said, Isn't she just playing the good cop and bad cop? Be careful with your words. Si Chuanbai looked at Xiangyi and said, Miss Xiang, it's better to stay away from such people. Xiangyi nodded. Annan's eyes widened. But she's obviously bad-mouthing Xiangwan. Are we going to keep tolerating it? Si Chuanbai said, There's no practical point in being sharp-tongued. Annan knew that he had a point, but his cheeks were still puffed up with anger. Si Chuanbai pressed the space between his eyebrows helplessly. The jewelry brand that Su Tumi previously endorsed is about to expire. Do you think it's better for us to go over and scold her now and get provoked or snatch the endorsement deal for Miss Yang? Annan was speechless. What? He whispered, Mr. C, you seem to be the villain in a movie. Si Chuanbai raised his eyebrows. This was the first time someone had described him this way. Si Chuanbai patted Annan's head of colorful hair and said a few words before leaving. Annan stayed behind and accompanied Xiangyi to wait for the makeup artist and stylist. But even after waiting for a long time, there was still no sign of anyone. Annan reacted and stood up with a whoosh. F***CK. You're using this kind of elementary school trick? How shameless. In the entertainment industry, it was very common for competitors to trip each other up. It was his negligence that he didn't think that there would be such a despicable trick. Meanwhile, the stylist was carefully styling Sue Toomey's hair. She said carefully, "Teacher Sue, your hairline is a little high. Why don't I put on a few pieces of wig for you?" Sue Toomey casually played with the manicure that she had just done while Sister Yen retorted, "How can you say that? Our decadent beauty is the Barbie of the world." Stylist. Barbie dolls don't have bald heads. However, she only dared to criticize in her heart and didn't have the guts to say it out loud. After a few seconds, Sue Toomey said, "Make me have more hair than Xiangyi, understand?" Chapter 435. The stylist said, Sue Toomey asked, "Why? Is there a problem?" "There's more than just a problem. There's a huge problem." The stylist had watched Two Under One Roof before, so she could tell at a glance whether Xiangyi had any makeup or hair done. She had an amazing amount of hair, which was fluffy, smooth, black, and tough. Regardless of whether she tied it into a bun or let it down casually, she would still look good. To reach her level, it wasn't something that could be done with wigs. The stylist, tactfully, said that she might have to wear a wig. She initially thought that Sue Toomey would give up, but to her surprise, Sue Toomey raised her hand and Sister Yen took out several wigs of different colors and lengths from her large backpack. The stylist thought, "That works too?" Sue Toomey's makeup and hair took more than 3 hours to complete. The girl in the mirror had long, chestnut-colored curly hair and exquisite, clear makeup. The pumpkin-colored eyeshadow made her beautiful eyes look exceptionally lively. The stylist already felt that she was beautiful enough, but she didn't expect Sue Toomey to be unsatisfied at all. She even suggested that she change the makeup artist and stylist. In the end, even the assistant director was alarmed and personally came over to coax her for a long time. He promised that he would edit Sue Toomey's photos frame by frame in post-production. Only then did Sue Toomey reluctantly agree to record. The assistant director wiped his sweat and secretly lamented in his heart, "Sue Toomey is really hard to please." However, she was indeed popular and capable. She had won the Best Actress award at the age of 23, and she had a strong family background too. Even he didn't dare to offend her easily. Hence, he had no choice but to coax her. "By the way, where's Xiangyi? Is she not done yet?" The assistant director couldn't help but feel a little frustrated after being angered by Sue Toomey. In fact, he didn't want to invite Xiangyi, but for some reason, the director and scriptwriter decided to do it after watching Two Under One Roof for 5 minutes. It was simply unreasonable. One had to know that Xiangyi didn't even have a single piece of work that she was proud of, yet she was constantly on the hot search list. Her brother and grandparents were on the hot search list. Wasn't it all because she was born into a good family? The assistant director looked down on Xiangyi from the bottom of his heart. With the first impression, he instinctively vented his anger on Xiangyi. The assistant hurried over and came back saying, "The dressing room is empty. Teacher Xiangyi is not in." The assistant director flew into a rage. What is she doing in the dressing room? What? Was he going to throw his weight around and leave? Then let her go. Does she really think that our show can't survive without her? The assistant said obsequiously, "I heard that the stylist and makeup artist arranged for teacher Xiangyi suddenly fell ill and couldn't come. Could it be because of this?" The assistant director choked and quickly flew into a rage out of humiliation. Then wouldn't she have brought her own stylist and makeup artist? If he didn't even have this bit of adaptability, how could he survive in this industry? Why doesn't she reflect on herself? Why do other artists have to find trouble with her? The assistant. He didn't agree with the other party's point of view, but he didn't dare to refute, so he chose to keep his mouth shut. However, the more the assistant director thought about it, the angrier he got. Xiangyi just comes from a wealthy family, but she doesn't have any abilities at all. How dare she throw her weight around? Tell her that if she doesn't appear in front of me within 5 minutes, she doesn't have to come," the assistant director said sternly. In the next second, Someone ran over while panting heavily. Huh? Is Teacher Sue not ready yet? Teacher Xiang has been waiting at the filming location for a long time. Chapter 436. In an instant, the assistant director's face changed from green to red. It was an exciting scene. The assistant next to him secretly laughed and pretended to be surprised. What? Teacher Xiang's stylist and makeup artist didn't come, did they? The assistant director caught hold of her weakness and questioned. She went barefaced? What does she take National Mass Workout for? It's not a casual show like Two Under One Roof. Artists like her, who don't know how to respect others, should be banned. The errand keeper was dumbfounded. Is that so? But Teacher Xiang's hair and makeup are very beautiful. There's a man with colorful hair next to her who is helping her touch up her makeup. The assistant said, "Oh, that should be her manager." The assistant director was dumbfounded. Why does the manager know how to do this? Is he trying to steal Teacher Tony's job? His expression was ugly, and he was still stubborn. How good can the makeup done by a manager be? I'll go take a look. If it's not up to standard, it'll have to be redone. Everyone at the scene suddenly fell silent, knowing that he was going to cause trouble. The assistant was indignant. It'll take at least an hour or two to redo. Isn't he just deliberately making things difficult for her? However, his words carried little weight, and he couldn't say anything. He secretly sighed and prayed in his heart. I hope Anand's skills aren't too bad, so that Xiangyi won't be scolded too much. The filming location was Nanqing Gymnasium. The production team had contacted them in advance, and there was an area in the gymnasium that was specially cleared today. In order to promote various sports, the production team divided the process into 2 rounds. The first round was to accumulate points through the sports competition, and those with high points would receive rewards that could be used in the second round. The second round was an all-member competition that had many forms, such as tearing off name tags, catching criminals, and so on. In this round, they could use the props or various special cards obtained in the previous round. The first round of the day was archery. In order to make it more interesting, the production team used the method of drawing lots to choose different bows. There were professional recurve bows and cartoon plastic bows for comedic effect. The filming had yet to begin, and the scene was chaotic and noisy. However, it was almost effortless to see Xiangyi in the crowd. The young girl's hair was permed into an egg curl, and she wore a large red bow on her head, which made her milky white face look even more exquisite. At first glance, it looked like she was barefaced, but in fact, she was scheming. The base makeup was clear and flawless, and the eye makeup was delicate and gentle. There was no heavy makeup on her red lips, but it highlighted Xiangyi's good looks very well. She was unbelievably beautiful. The assistant director was stunned. He had never seen Xiangyi in person before, and the shock he felt at this moment was immense. That face seemed to be born for the camera. Every move was casual and lazy, but it was captivating. Coincidentally, Su Tumi and sister Yan also came over. Due to Su Tumi's status, the staff nearby hurriedly took the initiative to greet her. As soon as the assistant director turned his head, he saw Su Tumi, who seemed to be exuding an exquisite aura from head to toe. However, there was really no comparison. Makeup was ultimately just a superficial appearance. However, beauty lies in one's bones, not in one's appearance. Xiangyi, who had an excellent bone structure, could really defeat Su Tumi with just a little makeup. The assistant director had never felt that his face hurt so much before. Su Tumi stared at Xiangyi with her fists clenched. Why does she have so much hair? Chapter 437. Seeing Xiangyi's thick and lustrous hair, Su Tumi's eyes turned red with envy. When she was a child, she had quite a lot of hair, but ever since she entered the industry, she had to go through a lot of styling and perming. Ordinary people would have their hair damaged after perming and dyeing it 2 or 3 times, let alone perming and dyeing it frequently. Coupled with the stress of work and lack of sleep, Su Tumi became more and more popular and earned more and more money. However, her hair also became thinner, and her hairline receded rapidly. Her head could be broken, and she could bleed, but she would rather die than lift her bangs. Sister Yen went against her conscience and said, "Indeed, an amateur is an amateur. You can't compare to Decady at all. Decady, you're in such a good state today. Let me tell you, after this episode is broadcast, you're going to gain a large number of fans for your looks. Oh, she's really pretentious. Who is she trying to bluff with a bow and arrow?" Not far away, Xiang Yi was picking up a cool black recurve bow. Her body was leaning sideways, standing tall and straight, but her shoulders were turned to face the front of the arrow path. She slowly put an arrow on the bow and slowly pulled the bowstring with a clang. She hit the bullseye. 10th ring. The number automatically popped up on the electronic display screen. Cheers and gasps of shock filled the air. Damn. She's so cool, so cool. Are you kidding me? Are you a professional here to torture scum? Oh my god, Xiang Yi is so impressive. She hit the bullseye with one arrow. Sister Yen was speechless. 10th ring? Are you a damn celebrity or a national team player? While she was in a daze, Su Tumi brushed her hair and walked towards Xiang Yi aggressively in her white shoes. By the time Sister Yen reacted, Su Tumi had already walked toward Xiang Yi, scaring her so much that she broke out in cold sweat. Although Su Tumi was a troublemaker, she was very disdainful of scheming and scheming. She didn't put on airs either and often added everyone on WeChat. In Sister Yan's opinion, she was a little too arrogant and silly. Hence, she often played some tricks openly and secretly. On the surface, she deliberately asked for the mission card in advance today. On the surface, she secretly bribed Xiang Yi's makeup artist and stylist. If they got into a conflict in public, it would be bad for public relations. Sister Yen hurriedly chased after her. Xiang Yi tried the bow and found that it was still there, so she put it down. Suddenly, there was a sweet, fruity aroma beside her. Xiang Yi sniffed lightly and distinguished the smell of sea salt, sage, and persimmon. Bright and sweet. She turned around and looked at Su Tumi. Su Tumi's tone was aggressive, but the words that she blurted out made Xiang Yi stunned. "What brand of shampoo are you using?" Xiang Yi, ? And what's the brand of conditioner, hair mask, essential oil, and comb? Xiang Yi. In Su Tumi's eyes, her blank expression was a silent provocation. "Hey, are you going to say that you don't take care of your hair at all?" Su Tumi sneered. "Do you think I'll believe you? Humph. Forget it if you don't want to say it. I'll find the brand you're using sooner or later." Xiang Yi. "I forgot some of the brands. Let me look for online orders. Do you need a link?" Su Tumi. Yes. By the time Sister Yen trotted over, she realized that the two of them had added each other as friends and were still discussing a topic that confused her. "I'll buy it tomorrow. I think I can get 300 to 30 yuan. Sure, you can add on the category coupons and VIP discounts. You can save even more. Really, you're so good at math." Sister Yan's head was filled with question marks. Are you women who lack money? Chapter 438. Sometimes, the friendship between girls can really be described as magical. Clearly, they could call each other sisters when they met for the first time, and best friends who had been playing with each other for years would also let each other call each other daddy. Collecting and stocking up is a human instinct, and shopping is a woman's joy. Sister Yen originally thought that Su Tumi would get into a conflict with Xiang Yi, but she never expected the two of them to be so harmonious. Su Tumi placed a few orders and was satisfied. She blinked at Xiang Yi and said, "If I have anything useful in the future, I'll recommend it to you too." Xiang Yi smiled and continued to play with her bow and arrow. Sister Yen hurriedly pulled Su Tumi to the side and said, "Ah, Tumi, you have to be careful. What if she accidentally shoots you?" Su Tumi said impatiently. Okay, got it. Sister Yen instructed, "When the official recording begins later, stay away from her. You're the main guest for this episode, so she won't get too much screen time. Besides, we still have the mission card. Don't worry, Toomey will definitely come in first place this time. Sue Toomey rolled her eyes and said, "Can I shoot an arrow? No. Can I run? Neither would he. How can I come in first place?" Sister Yen was speechless. "What are you talking about?" On the other side, the director organized a short meeting. What? Change the main guest? Change the gameplay? When he heard the screenwriter's suggestion, the assistant director couldn't accept it at all. The previous plan for this episode was quite good. It's not appropriate to suddenly change it now. The director was calm and collected. He picked up the thermos and drank a mouthful of goji berry water before saying indifferently, "Didn't you see the scene of her shooting the arrow just now? What does a variety show need?" The assistant director was originally displeased with Xiangyi. Once a person is prejudiced, everything the other party does is wrong. He said straightforwardly, "She's not suitable. Our production team has never changed the main guest to the one with the lowest status. If we change it this time, who knows how the netizens will criticize our show. You know that the netizens nowadays will boycott whenever they want. I believe everyone doesn't want the reputation of the show that we've painstakingly built to be ruined because of a mistake in decision-making, right?" The director looked at him deeply and didn't criticize him. Instead, he answered his own question. What a variety show needs is a joke, a highlight, and a thrill. With these three, one could rule the world. I think Xiangyi has the potential to be the main guest. The scriptwriter added, "That's right. That's why I suggest that we use the same strategy as in the video game. We should highlight Xiangyi for this episode and let her give the show a different soul." The assistant director was speechless. He felt that the two of them had gone crazy. "It's up to you," he said stiffly. "If it doesn't work, don't blame me for not warning you." The director, scriptwriter, and the others discussed the new game rules and plans in low voices. The assistant director felt indignant. Just wait, they will definitely regret it. Instead of using Sue Toomey as the main guest, they went to replace her with an inexplicable woman. It was simply unreasonable. He hadn't realized that he had been ignored by the core members. The official recording began. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's National Mass Workout. I'm your good friend, Xiao Yao." The host was the resident MC, Wang Yao, who had acted in many family dramas and was very well known among the middle-aged and elderly. First of all, let's welcome our sister, Xiangyi. Outside the venue, Sister Yan's expression changed instantly. Chapter 439. There was an unwritten rule in National Mass Workout that the first flying guest to be cued would be the main guest of the episode. As the name implied, the main guest would have the most screen time, and even an A-list celebrity wouldn't mind less exposure. Hence, the main guest was a must-have for every episode. Of course, the program team had a high degree of freedom and could choose whoever they wanted. However, Sister Yen had already tacitly agreed that Sue Toomey was the main guest, but she didn't expect Xiangyi to be the main guest. It was just like a cooked duck that had flown into the mouth of a detestable person. The several seniors invited for this episode were more relaxed and didn't intend to fight for it. Another popular young hunk and a popular web drama actress looked at each other, but didn't say anything. Sue Toomey yawned in front of everyone's eyes. Sister Yen was speechless. "Are you sleepy at this time? How can a child of your age fall asleep?" After announcing the guest list, Wang Yao announced the rules of the first round. They would first draw lots and shoot arrows according to the bow they drew. Each person could shoot 10 arrows, and the person with the highest total score would be in first place. "I now announce that the National Mass Workout has begun," Wang Yao said with a grin. Jokes aside, the people present were all celebrities, and they couldn't possibly be as obedient as primary school students. Before they drew lots, everyone was chatting, drinking water, studying the target, and discussing the bow. It was a mess. Wang Yao complained incessantly, "Everyone, please cooperate with me. If you don't, I'll be fired." He had a humble character in National Mass Workout and was known as the host who couldn't control the situation in the entire entertainment industry. The netizens would always despise him while laughing. The variety show was quite effective. Xiangyi took the lead to draw lots. Wang Yao asked mysteriously, "Sister E, what did you draw? Is it a recurve bow? I think you'll definitely look super cool with a recurve bow." "It's not a recurve bow, but it should be cool too," Xiangyi said confidently, as if she had drawn a god-level weapon. In the next second, she picked up the only cartoon plastic pink bow and arrow on the scene and calmly pulled the bowstring. The girl stood upright and in a standard posture, but the more serious she was, the funnier she seemed. The director sitting behind the camera couldn't help but laugh out loud. The seated player had drawn a cartoon bow and arrow, which was a joke of its own. Soon after, the others also drew hornbows, crossbows, and hilarious slingshots. However, the most amazing thing was that Su Tumi had drawn the most professional recurve bow. The camera caught her dumbfounded expression. Su Tumi carefully picked up the bow and pretended to shoot an arrow. She raised her chin proudly and asked the person beside her, "Does my bow look good?" Yes. Xiangyi happened to be beside her. "If you hold it like this, it'll look even better." She was at the back and raised her hand to help Su Tumi adjust the way she held the recurve bow. From a certain perspective, it seemed as if Xiangyi was holding Su Tumi in her arms. The assistant director could not help but say, "What nonsense is Xiangyi doing? Jun Han and Su Tumi should be the ones acting in such an idle drama." Director, "The weather's really good." Screenwriter, "Drink more hot water." Assistant director, "Is there something wrong with these two? Why are they not answering the question?" A living person like him was talking. Were they deaf? Chapter 440. Little did she know that when the staff saw this scene, especially the girls, they wished they could shriek like groundhogs. Who would have thought that the combination of soft girl x sweet girl would be so easy to fall in love with? "Did I make it clear?" Xiangyi asked softly. Su Tumi pursed her lips and said, It's all right." She pulled the bowstring and was about to release it, but Xiangyi pressed her hand down. There was a warning in her eyes. "You can't release an empty string. You'll hurt your hand easily." Annan was very good at makeup. He used a brush to gently brush some blush on the tip of Xiangyi's nose, making her look rather pitiful. With such a beautiful face, even if she was a little fierce, she would still be unbelievably beautiful, making it impossible for others to get angry at her. Su Tumi froze for a moment and said awkwardly, "Why are you being so fierce?" Although she said this, she still listened to Xiangyi and slowly let go of her hand, releasing her strength. The assistant director muttered, "What's the matter with those girls? What's there to be excited about?" The director smiled without saying anything. Everyone took turns to shoot. Apart from the young hunk who shot the 7th ring, the others all shot the 3rd ring and 4th ring amateurishly. Some even missed the target. Xiangyi was undoubtedly the most eye-catching. She was given the lightest cartoon bow, so logically speaking, she shouldn't have had any advantage. However, she pulled the string and released the arrow smoothly. 9th ring. Everyone was speechless. "You're not holding a plastic bow. You're actually holding an epic artifact, right?" Another funny person was Su Tumi. Her archery posture was taught by Xiangyi, and she learned it very well. At first glance, she looked very intimidating. However, she would either shoot the 1st or 2nd ring every time after finally hitting the yellow center. Su Tumi was so excited that she jumped on the spot. "I hit it." Sister Yen, who was watching her jump outside the field, was so worried that she would throw the wig away. Xiangyi's gentle voice reminded him, "You're shooting at my target." Su Tumi's smile froze and gradually disappeared. The director laughed again. The staff couldn't help but laugh. They could almost imagine how much the netizens who saw this scene would laugh in front of their screens. It was the 10th arrow's turn. Xiangyi was already far ahead. She deserved to be first place, with a total score of 81 points. She pulled the bowstring, and her doe eyes narrowed slightly. Her long eyelashes cast beautiful shadows, and her jawline was exquisite and superior. The nylon bowstring touched the girl's cherry-colored lips, as if offering a kiss. Then she suddenly let go, swish. Bang. Two loud sounds rang out. A bright red number popped up on the LCD screen. 10 points. There was an uproar in the crowd. Xiangyi had actually hit the bullseye with a cartoon plastic bow. However, what was with the second sound just now? A staff member came forward to check the situation. A moment later, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Teacher Xiangyi hit the center of the bullseye, which is the 10th ring of the 10 rings. The pinhole camera's screen shattered. Everyone. An arrow had shattered the camera screen. Even the screenwriter wouldn't dare to write the script like that. Xiangyi said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I'll compensate for it." The director waved his hand and said, "No need, no need. The effect of this segment is very good. Sister E, you're the light of variety shows. Tell the post-production team that I'll edit it myself." There was another uproar at the scene. As a top variety show director in the industry, he didn't need to personally monitor the post-production, let alone edit it. Sister E Rizabai. Chapter 441. The nicer the director was to Xiangyi, the more sullen the assistant director's expression was. Is this considered a slap to my face in public? He's going against me because he doesn't think highly of Xiangyi. At the end of the first round of the competition, Xiangyi came in first place and received a mysterious prop as well as a small gold medal. She opened it and looked at it before putting it back in her pocket indifferently. As for Sutumi, she came in last place and didn't get anything at all. She might even be scolded by the audience when the program is broadcast in the future. At the thought of the anti-fans who called her bald previously, Sutumi felt extremely aggrieved, and she became listless like a frosted eggplant. All of a sudden, a golden figure appeared in front of her. "This is for you," Xiangyi said casually. She was usually very tolerant of good-looking people. Besides, Sutumi looked like she was about to cry. Be it because of her upbringing or because she was obsessed with good looks, Xiangyi couldn't remain indifferent. Sutumi sniffled and asked in a childish voice, "Are you really giving it to me?" "Yes." Xiangyi nodded. The truth was that she left in a hurry today and forgot to bring some candy. She felt a little regretful that she couldn't use her ancestral skills to give out candy. Sutumi glanced at the medal, looked at her toes, and glanced at the medal again. She did it several times and vividly expressed her desire to take it but was too embarrassed to do so. Xiangyi seemed to have seen through her and stuffed the medal into her hand. "I'll go pull out the arrow." Sutumi stared at her back in shock. The arrows that they shot out previously were still crooked on the target, and there were so many of them that pulling out the arrows became a laborious task. However, it seemed to be a piece of cake for Xiangyi. She gently pulled the arrow out with her fair and slender hand. The popular hunk also came over to try, but in the end, he was stunned and couldn't pull it out at all. He only succeeded after using all his strength. The corners of Sutumi's mouth curled up, and she put the medal into her pocket properly. The filming came to an end. The second round of the mission was set to be a real-life counterattack, so they had to change the venue. The artists got into their respective nanny vans and raced against time to rest. Sister Yen was still trying to brainwash Sutumi. "Tumi, that Xiangyi is obviously up to no good. She just wants to ride on your coattails. Think about it. If a man were to do the act of gifting a gold medal, wouldn't it be greasy? Don't tell me she's trying to set herself up as the alpha leader or something. Don't be fooled by her." Sutumi fiddled with a small gold medal. The props made by the production team were quite exquisite, and it seemed to be made of real gold. She said absent-mindedly, "Don't you think she and I are fated, Sister Yen?" My anti-fan scolded me for being bald. Her nickname is Rabbit. Look, this is simply fate. Sister Yen was speechless. "Hey, do you know she really smells good? Her hair smells good, her clothes smell good, and her body smells good too. No, I have to ask her what kind of body lotion she uses." Sutumi lowered her head and sent Xiangyi a WeChat message. Sister Yen was speechless. "Fine, I shouldn't have had any expectations for this silly girl. She shouldn't have had any. Everyone rushed to the venue of the real-life counterattack and rested for a while. The popular Hunk and Suit Toomey's fans had all prepared support food trucks. One of them had snacks such as fried chicken and curried fish balls, while the other had drinks such as lemonade and milk tea. There were cheers at the scene. When one is tired from work, food is the best way to heal one. The assistant director ate the fish balls in big mouthfuls and complained in a muffled voice, "Tisk, TSK, that person doesn't even have a support team. She's really miserable." Before he could finish. Chapter 442. Someone exclaimed, "Wow, there are so many food trucks. Which teacher's fan is this?" The assistant director smacked his lips and said, "They're probably fans of a few seniors. Anyway, it can't be Xiangyi's fan." "Her? It'd be weird if she had one. Ha ha ha." No one agreed. In the silence, his laughter sounded especially ear-piercing. Whoosh, the food trucks were arranged nicely. There were coffee, sandwiches, and small cakes. The most amazing thing was that there was even a barbecue truck. Everyone. Barbecue on the spot. Whose fan support is this? What a grand display. The crew members whispered among themselves. On every dining car, there was a small colorful flag in a conspicuous position. On the flag, there were 4 words printed on it. Spicy Tutu. Spicy Tutu? Whose fan is this? I think it's from Teacher Xiangyi's fan base. An uncertain voice came from the crowd. The catering staff on the barbecue truck smiled and said, "That's right, we're Sister Yi's fan support team." In an instant, the assistant director even forgot to chew. His throat slid and he swallowed a whole fish ball. He choked until his eyes rolled back in discomfort. Xiangyi actually had such a luxurious fan support team? How was that possible? The artistes present all had different expressions. They didn't expect a mere Xiangyi to have such great appeal. Nan said excitedly, "Wow, Sister E, your fan club is really awesome." Xiangyi said, "Didn't you and Mr. C help me with this? It's your fans." They were all very happy when they heard that you took on National Mass Workout. Nan showed her the chat history in the fan club. Seeing that someone said that they saved their breakfast money to support her, Xiangyi frowned and said, "These must be very expensive. Calculate how much it costs and help me pay them back." Nan was stunned for a moment. "Sweetheart, this is a kind gesture from the fans. This kind of thing is very normal in the entertainment industry," Xiangyi said sternly. "My fans don't need to spend money on me. I have money." Nan. "All right, sorry to disturb you. I almost forgot that my darling is a Miss Perfect." He scratched his head and relayed Xiangyi's message in the group. The group was instantly flooded with messages. "Wuwatutu is too gentle and spicy. But I just want to spend money on Sister E. What kind of peerless little angel is Xiang Ikak?" However, under Nan's insistence, the management still calculated the amount. Nan was taken aback when he saw the price. He typed, 4 dining cars only cost this much." The other party sent a voice message. "We only sent a barbecue truck. Is there anything else? Could it be a fan from an unofficial group?" Nan had created an official fan club for Xiangyi. There was a strict vetting process for those who joined the group. They could be considered as Xiangyi's most loyal and hardcore fans. Of course, there were also many groups created by fans. Nan was about to check again when he saw that Si Chuanbai had sent him a WeChat message. "Mr. C, there's no need to ask. The remaining 3 dining cars were arranged by Sure Sui. Nan how Nan, huh? So Sure Sui is Sister Yi's #1 fan. I'll go tell Sister E now." "Mr. C, I guess so." Si Chuanbai, who was in front of the screen, calmly pushed his glasses up his nose. He probably wasn't the #1 fan. He was probably the #1 suitor. However, his way of expressing his goodwill was too elementary. He didn't even inform Xiangyi and had to rely on him and Lil Colored Feather to assist him. TSK_. Chapter 443. Just as Si Chuanbai had expected, Annan told Xiangyi about the Shui support truck as soon as possible. Xiangyi said, "Ah, senior, you're so nice. You're so thoughtful." Annan couldn't help but overthink. "Oh my, don't you think Shui seems to treat you differently from others?" After all, he had been in the entertainment industry for so many years and was always on the front line. In his impression, Shui had never been involved in any scandals with any female celebrities. Except for Xiangyi. He heard that his team was very good at public relations. If a female celebrity tried to make him a couple, the post would be deleted very quickly. However, now there were all kinds of news, gossip, and posts about him and Xiangyi on the internet. But Shui's team didn't delete a single post. Xiangyi asked in confusion, "Hasn't he always been so nice?" Ever since she was a child, Shui had always been gentle and gentlemanly. He was also impeccable when it came to dealing with others, and was very popular with her brother. He was also liked by the elders. Annan opened his mouth and said, "I don't think so," while the two of them were chatting. Su Tumi suddenly leaned over and exclaimed angrily, "Xiangyi, why didn't you reply to my message?" Xiangyi said, "Sorry, I didn't look at my phone." "Humph," Su Tumi pouted. She had a sweet and pleasant appearance in the first place, and when she acted coquettishly, it would make one's heart soften. "Tell me then, why do you smell so good?" Xiangyi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She sent her the link of the body lotion that she often used and casually said, "Do you like sweet perfumes? Give me an address then. I'll send you some homemade perfume later." Su Tumi asked in surprise, "You know how to make perfumes?" Xiangyi said, "I'm an amateur." Su Tumi believed her, but she didn't want to dampen Xiangyi's enthusiasm. After she was rejected when she sent her homemade soap to others previously, she didn't want to make any more handmade products. "Okay, I'll try it then." The two of them chatted for a while and rushed over when they heard the director shouting through the loudspeaker. "Recording countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, I'll announce the rules of the game this time. This round uses the real-life CS competitive mode. The game is divided into two teams, red and blue. There are two ways to win. One is to kill all the members of one team, and the other is to take the other team's flag first. Members of both sides, please guard your own flags, and try your best to kill the opposing players. The player with the most kills, or the greatest contribution, will be the individual MVP of this round. That's all. The game starts now." All the artists were blindfolded and brought to different areas. The moment he saw the light again, he felt a slight pain in his eyes. Xiangyi narrowed her eyes and quickly adapted to the light. She began to judge the environment she was in. Before coming here, Annan had changed her hair into a bun. Xiangyi casually broke a branch of a plant, weaved it into a hat, and put on. She rubbed the toy gun in her hand. It was an imitation of a sniper rifle called the Fall of the Gods, and it even came with a scope. Xiangyi was not in a hurry to look for her teammates. Instead, she first hid the team's flag in a secluded place. In order to ensure the gaming experience, there were no cameramen following them. However, there were cameras all around, and there was one above each artist's head. The sound of footsteps could be heard. Xiangyi skillfully lay prone in the secluded place, loaded the gun, scoped in, and aimed at the source of the sound. The person who came was not wearing the blue team's badge. Bang! Xiangyi fired without hesitation. Chapter 444. The shot was decisive and firm. The girl's long eyelashes fluttered, and her fingers on the trigger were fair and soft. She didn't tremble at all. She shot him in the heart. The blue dye exploded and covered his upper body. The popular little fresh meat, Junhan, was at a loss. He had a feeling that it was over before it even started. The announcement sounded. "Player Xiangyi has killed player Junhan. Player Junhan is out." Immediately afterwards, another announcement sounded. "The resurrection card has taken effect. Player Junhan has been resurrected." 2 more lives? Xiangyi raised her eyebrows and was about to fire a second shot when she heard Junhan hurriedly say, "Sister E, don't shoot, he's one of us." He hurriedly took out the blue team badge from his pocket and put it on. Xiangyi was speechless. So I killed my teammate for the first time? She walked out from behind the tree, feeling a little embarrassed. Sorry, I thought you were on the red team. Junhan sighed. I deliberately took off the badge to confuse my opponent, but I didn't expect to confuse my teammate. In the director's office, the director laughed so hard that he was almost out of breath. He could already imagine how overjoyed the audience would be when they saw this scene. This little accident was naturally funny and was not something that could be written in a script. Xiangyi and Junhan walked together. Junhan was a talent show winner and was very good at business and socializing. Even if he didn't have anything to say, he could still strike up a conversation with Xiangyi. I've watched Two Under One Roof. Xiao Naofu and little Shiji are so cute. The scene of Shi Sui running with them every day is so funny. It was normal to walk dogs, but it was rare to walk cats, let alone run with them. Xiao Naofu was often as tired as a dead dog and had to stay in Shi Sui's pocket for the second half of the journey. It would stick its head out and pant heavily. Xiangyi asked with a subtle expression, "Running? Did he bully Xiao Naofu?" Stunned, Junhan said hesitantly, "Sister E, aren't you going to watch the replay?" Xiangyi shook her head. Junhan was speechless. He felt like he had accidentally dug his own grave. He hurriedly changed the subject. The item I got in the previous round was the resurrection card. What about you, senior? In the previous round, Junhan was ranked second. Xiangyi, not yet. She took out a small envelope from her pocket and opened it. There was a card inside. Elimination card description. Using this card can eliminate one player. Wow, this card is good. Sister E, keep it well. You might be able to use this to turn the tables, Junhan said as he leaned toward Xiangyi. He didn't dislike CP fans. On the contrary, he knew what CP fans would bring: heat. Besides, in the current environment of the industry, even if there were rumors about a couple, it was mostly about female artists. Even if she scolded him, what was it in the face of traffic and profits? However, Xiangyi did not intend to cooperate with him. She quietly widened the distance between the two of them. Junhan vaguely realized that she was rejecting him, but he refused to give up. He asked, "Sister E, are you tired? Do you want to take a break?" Xiangyi glanced at him. Junhan didn't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that she was a little disgusted with him. The girl stopped and broke a branch with a crack. She then broke off the branch with her bare hands and handed it to Junhan calmly. "If you can't walk, I can use this to pull you." Junhan. Did she interpret his concern as her stamina being poor? "It's not convenient to carry you. How about I carry you?" Xiangyi asked sincerely. Chapter 445. Xiangyi was telling the truth. Although she was stronger than ordinary girls and knew how to use her skills, Junhan was still tall, and it would be more troublesome to carry him on her back. However, it would save her a lot of effort to carry him. Junhan forced a smile and said, no need." Xiangyi's eyes were clear and bright. Can you persist? If you can't, don't force yourself." Junhan exclaimed, I can really." Xiangyi shoved the branch to him and said, "Then use it as a crutch. If necessary, you can use it as a weapon." Junhan was obviously much quieter during the rest of the journey. Gradually, 5 players were eliminated. There were 3 people left in the blue team and 2 in the red team. The players in the red team were all eliminated by Xiangyi. Junhanya was also able to witness Xiangyi's terrifying hit rate. All of them were shot in the heart without exception. He suspected that if it weren't for safety considerations, Xiangyi might have shot him in the head passing by the water source. The 2 of them successfully met up with their third teammate, Bai Wuxia. At the same time, Su Tumi screamed from not far away, "Don't come over, help!" Bai Wuxia was considered a respected senior. Although he wasn't very popular now, he had a high status in the circle. He said, "This isn't a trap, right? A honey trap to lure the enemy in." Xiangyi said with a solemn expression, "I'll go take a look." Bai Wuxia said confidently, Ah, Xiangyi, you don't understand. You'll fall into their trap as soon as you go. You're the sharpshooter of our team. If you fall into their trap, how are we going to win? Jun Han hesitated for a moment, but he didn't refute, tacitly agreeing with Bai Wuxia. Although it was a variety show, the audience admired the strong. Who wouldn't like to be on the winning side? Xiangyi's attitude was very firm. I'll go take a look. Winning or losing is just a game, but what if Su Tumi is really in danger? The young girl's footsteps were light as she scurried towards the source of the sound. Bai Wuxia and Jun Han looked at each other and had no choice but to follow her. Su Tumi was very unlucky today as she didn't run into any teammates, but she was lucky enough to kill 2 players. She proudly hummed a little tune and accidentally walked into the depths of the forest. Suddenly, a man emerged from the bushes. His clothes were tattered and his eyes were fierce. Su Tumi initially thought that it was the plot arranged by the production team, but in the blink of an eye, she realized that something was wrong. There were dried bloodstains on the man's clothes. It wasn't something that could be dyed with those prop pigments. It was real human blood. Su Tumi reacted and stumbled forward. As soon as she ran, it was as if she had ignited some kind of danger signal. The man behind her quickly chased after her. It was as if a beast had locked onto its prey. Su Tumi was even more certain that this person was definitely not arranged by the production team. She screamed with all her might and gestured to every passing camera, hoping that someone would come and save her in the director's office. Seeing this scene, the director and the others turned pale with fright. They hurriedly ordered more than a dozen staff members to rush over. This person can't be a fugitive, right? The assistant director gulped, his palms sweating nervously. If something happens, our program will be finished. The director's Adam's apple moved, and he wanted to bear with it, but he couldn't. He cursed, is life important or the program important? Can you be a damn human? The atmosphere was tense, and everyone felt as if there was a sword hanging in their hearts. They were so nervous that their palms were sweaty. Chapter 446. Someone suggested, "Aren't Jun Han and the other artistes nearby? Why don't we let them rush over first?" However, someone soon retorted, "How can we do that? What if that man has a weapon? It's too dangerous." Everyone was full of regret. They thought that they had made full preparations, but who would have thought that such an accident would happen? Suddenly, the director exclaimed, "Xiangyi is going over." Huh. In the lush and deep jungle, Xiangyi's footsteps were light, and she ran extremely quickly. She rushed to the source of the sound as quickly as she could, but there was no one around. There were only traces of the grass being crushed. Every artiste was equipped with a headset for emergency communication. The director hurriedly contacted Xiangyi and said, "Su Tumi is not far from you. She's right in front of you at 3 o'clock. Before she finished speaking, she had already followed the traces on the ground and ran straight. Somewhere behind the bushes. Su Tumi's mouth was covered by a pair of dirty hands, and she felt suffocated. At first, she could still make some muffled sounds, but soon, she didn't even have the strength to make a sound. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Su Tumi never thought that she would encounter such a thing for a moment. She even felt that perhaps dying here would be the best outcome. Otherwise, what should she do when the entire entertainment industry finds out about this? The sound of the man's rapid breathing came from behind her, accompanied by the rustling of clothes. Su Tumi closed her eyes in despair. Bang. Ah. 2 voices, one after the other, suddenly rang out. The first was the sound of a toy bullet exploding. The second was the man's painful shriek behind her. Su Tumi opened her eyes abruptly and saw Xiangyi's slender figure in a trance. The young girl was wearing a camouflage uniform and a hat made of branches on her head. There were leaves hanging on her eyebrows, and her gaze was terrifyingly cold. She held the sniper rifle and fired a second shot at the man. Both shots were headshots. Although it was a toy bullet, it had a certain degree of lethality, let alone a fragile part like the head. The man fell to the ground in pain. He cursed and tried to take Su Tumi hostage. Su Tumi was so scared that she even forgot to escape and struggle. She was dumbfounded. Seeing that the man was about to succeed, Xiangyi leaped forward and began fighting with him. The man's skills were unexpectedly good, and the two fell into a stalemate for a while. Jun Han and the others had rushed over as well. Upon seeing this scene, Jun Han tightened his grip on the walking stick that Xiangyi had made for him earlier. He asked hesitantly, "Senior, should we go over and help?" Bai Wuxia coughed. Well, why don't you young people go? I'm already so old, so I won't join in the fun." His eyes were very sharp. He had just seen a bulge in the pocket of the man's shirt. It looked like a knife. Only a fool would save a damsel in distress. This was not an act. The most important thing was to protect his own life. Jun Han. In fact, he didn't dare to. Not everyone had the courage to face such a thing. Jun Han took a few steps forward hesitantly, and his calves began to twitch. He gritted his teeth and was about to step forward when he realized that the man had taken out a fruit knife, making him shiver in fear. Why is there a knife?" Bai Wuxia looked as if he had expected it and comforted him. "Someone will come over later. Let's stand further away. If Xiangyi can't hold on, we'll be in trouble." Chapter 447. Little did they know that their conversation was all picked up by the equipment and transmitted back to the director's room. All of a sudden, the room was silent, and even the sound of breathing seemed to have disappeared. To be fair, Bai Wuxia was right. Legally speaking, there was no obligation to save others without ensuring one's own safety. However, what he said made her feel especially uncomfortable. If they were strangers, it would be fine, but Xiangyi and Su Tumi were considered colleagues. Yet, he stood by and watched the two girls fall into danger. Su Tumi screamed, drawing everyone's attention back to Xiangyi. The young girl couldn't dodge in time and was slashed on her cheek. However, she also found a flaw in the man's defense and removed his arm. She kicked the knife away and restrained him with her knee. The man refused to give up, and the two of them got into a fight. Xiangyi's forehead was covered in sweat, and her fair face was flushed. However, she didn't forget to remind Su Tumi, "Leave first." Su Tumi's eyes were red, and there were still traces of tears. She nodded and stumbled towards Jun Han and Bai Wuxia. Bai Wuxia's expression changed drastically. "Tumi, don't run towards us. What if that man breaks free?" Su Tumi immediately felt like she had been splashed with a basin of ice water as she felt cold from head to toe. She pursed her lips and wanted to say something, but she didn't have any strength at all. Su Tumi remained silent and moved in another direction to stand further away from Bai Wuxia. Bai Wuxia was still dissatisfied, and he complained to Jun Han. The bad guys were targeting the two of them in the first place. Aren't they afraid of implicating us? Their EQ is really low. Jun Han ignored him and kept his gaze fixed on Xiangyi. The wound on the girl's face was bleeding continuously, staining half of her face red. She was supposed to be a pitiful little girl hiding behind a man, but somehow she had the explosive power and ferocity to fight the vicious gangster alone until now. In that second, shame defeated cowardice and courage defeated cowardice. Jun Han roared to give himself some courage and rushed forward. Coincidentally, the man almost broke free from Xiangyi's shackles, but Jun Han hit the back of his neck with his crutch, and he groaned in pain. Jun Han helped Xiangyi hold him down. After all, he was a grown man and was quite strong. Even so, the two of them almost failed to hold each other down. Fortunately, the staff arrived in time and tied him up with ropes in a flurry. Soon, the police arrived. Before the man was taken away, he glared viciously at Xiangyi. Xiangyi looked at him calmly. There was no fear or hatred, only indifference in her eyes. It was as if from the bottom of his heart, he didn't care about the person in front of him at all. The dust settled. The director announced the end of the filming and called for an ambulance to take Su Tumi and Xiangyi to the nearest hospital. Dong Mei was a stay-at-home mother. Today, she brought her child to the hospital for an intravenous drip and happened to bump into the crew of National Mass Workout, who came to the hospital. She poked her head in curiously and found that the doctor was applying medicine on Xiangyi's face. Hence, she secretly took a photo and posted it at night. Meihua Xiangzi Kahanlai, I'm really speechless. Are celebrities superior to others? She just suffered a minor injury. Is there need to make such a big fuss? I also asked around and found out that this celebrity is called Xiangyi. I've never heard of a small-time celebrity, let alone a major one. I'm furious. Chapter 448. Because this Weibo post included Xiangyi's name, there were dozens of comments in less than 2 minutes. I'm dying of laughter. It's just a minor injury. If she went to the hospital a little later, she would have recovered. This is how medical resources are wasted. More than a dozen people are circling around her. Isn't she the little princess? Blogger, you're calling her a small-time celebrity. Be careful that her fans don't come and bite you. Her fans think she's an A-lister. There were also some spicy Tutu fans who noticed this Weibo post and raised their own doubts. Celebrities are humans too. If ordinary people can go to the emergency room, can't celebrities do the same? Look at the schedule posted by the official fan club. Sister E is filming National Mass Workout today. For example, if you get injured at work and your colleagues accompany you to the hospital, what's wrong with that? Sister E injured her face. Even if she's not an artiste, it's still a big deal for an ordinary girl to have her face injured. There are only 2 doctors and nurses among the dozen or so people. The others are obviously staff. How can they criticize her? Dong Mei paid the fee and opened her Weibo account excitedly. She had never received so many comments on her Weibo posts in the past. Now she saw that there were hundreds of comments below, and there were also fans and haters arguing fiercely. She felt as if she had suddenly gained a sense of existence, and many people were paying attention to her. Her vanity was greatly satisfied. Hence, Dong Mei posted 2 more Weibo posts. Meihua Xiangzi Kohanlai. I heard from other patients that they even used a stretcher. I wonder why someone with an injured face has to sleep on a stretcher? Meihua Xiangzi Kohanlai. I bumped into Bai Wuxia when I was paying the bill. He doesn't look old at all. He's still as elegant as ever. He's especially charming. TSK. The entertainment industry is still the best. He'll even take the initiative to help the younger generation pay, unlike some small-time celebrities who wish they could wrap themselves up like mummies. These 2 Weibo posts aroused the anger of many netizens. Through the screen, the netizens attacked Xiangyi, other celebrities, and the culture of the entertainment industry, as if everyone was a judge. Dong Mei enjoyed the dense comments with relish. She even ignored her son, who told her that he was thirsty and wanted some water. After Su Tumi's diagnosis came out, she was greatly shocked and needed to rest well. Jun Han also suffered some scratches. On the contrary, Xiangyi was the one with the most serious injuries. There were bruises on her arms and knees. Her left wrist was slightly fractured. The skin at the corner of her mouth was cut. There was also a knife wound on her face. Little girl, your wound may leave a scar. The doctor sighed. He heard about Xiangyi's heroic act and felt that it was a pity. But he was afraid that Xiangyi would be sad, so he comforted her. But don't worry, the medical technology is very mature now. If it's done well, there won't be any scar. Xiangyi thanked him and handed a tissue to An Nan with her right hand. She said helplessly, all right, don't cry. She didn't cry, but An Nan cried miserably. Moreover, he was wailing loudly. Oh my God, you scare me to death. It's all my fault, I should have stayed with you. Wah. He burped, feeling both funny and sad. Xiangyi, I'm really fine, it doesn't hurt at all. I've suffered much more serious injuries in the past, and I didn't even cry. In the next second, a slender and tall figure appeared in front of her. Xiangyi suddenly felt a little pain. Chapter 449. Shi Sui strode into the emergency room and saw Xiangyi sitting obediently on the treatment chair. Her eyes were clear and bright as she looked at him quietly. The heavy stone in his heart finally fell to the ground. He subconsciously heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he saw the gauze on Xiangyi's face and wrist, his brows furrowed. The man's Adam's apple bobbed. Words of concern were on the tip of his tongue, but he didn't know how to say them. All the formalities and etiquette had lost their effect in front of her. Instead, Xiangyi spoke first. Her voice was soft and tender. Shi Sui. Shi Sui suppressed his fluctuating emotions. Yes, I'm hungry. The girl was a little aggrieved. I miss Xiao Naofu. The softest corner of her heart felt as if it had been bumped lightly. There was an indescribable sourness and warmth. Shi Sui raised his hand and rubbed her hair. I left a tablet in the living room. You can video call, Xiao Naofu. I'll go buy you some food. Xiangyi was stunned. Does he know that Xiao Naofu isn't an ordinary kitten? As if seeing through her thoughts, Shi Sui whispered, This is our little secret. Thump thump. His heart was beating wildly, as if fireworks were being set off. Bang, 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 bang. Xiangyi's expression was still calm, but the tips of her crimson ears betrayed her. Shi Sui went to buy food while Xiangyi was in the lounge. She made a video call. It only rang twice before it was picked up. A magnified cat face appeared on the screen. Xiao Naofu cried anxiously. Meow. Meow meow. Stupid woman. How are you? It's me, I'm fine. Don't worry. Xiangyi's tone was gentle as she comforted it. Have you eaten? Meow meow. Meow. Xiao Naofu saw the wound on her face. Its ears drooped and its bright eyes were filled with tears. Its furry paws gently touched Xiangyi's face through the screen. What a stupid woman, stupid woman. Always injuring herself, Xiao Naofu suddenly felt that it was useless. If only it was a ferocious tiger, it could protect this stupid woman from being bullied by bad guys. Although it didn't want to admit it, it had to admit that it could only be a useless kitten. Little Shiji leaned over and nudged Xiao Naofu with his creamy yellow head, seemingly trying to comfort it. After Xiangyi video called them for a while, Shi Sui came back with the food. When the director of National Mass Workout saw him, he was extremely surprised. He didn't expect that someone like Shi Sui would lower himself to buy food for Xiangyi. Are you here to see Sister E? The director still had a lingering fear when he recalled the scene where Xiangyi fought with the bad guys. He sighed and said, Fortunately, Sister E was here. Otherwise, the consequences today would have been unimaginable. What if Su Tumi was really? Not only would Su Tumi be traumatized for the rest of her life, but everyone in the production team who had a conscience wouldn't forgive themselves either. Shi Sui nodded in greeting, his attitude slightly cold. It was very different from his usual gentle and quiet way of dealing with people. The scriptwriter looked at his back and whispered, Shi Sui is so cold and aloof. The director smiled bitterly. How is this cold and aloof? He's angry. However, it turns out that a person like Shi Sui, who is so meticulous in every aspect, would actually give others a cold shoulder? Gotcha. Dong Mei secretly took a photo of Shi Sui's silhouette and was extremely agitated. She immediately posted it on the internet. Chapter 450. Mei Hua Xiangzi Kohanlai. How delicate can a female celebrity be? It's just a flesh wound. Yet she still has the cheek to ask Shi Sui to buy food for her. I'm impressed. On the hospital bed, her son said weakly, Mommy, I'm cold. What are you cold for? Don't bother me. Dong Mei hollered impatiently. Mommy is busy. The child pursed his lips and fell silent, watching his mother play with her cell phone. Is the cell phone more important than me? Dong Mei swiped her fingers and scrolled through the comments on Weibo, thinking that she would still see the netizens arguing or asking her to expose more information. To her surprise, the scene changed abruptly. Did Shi Sui visit her? Sure bought food for Sister E, but I got candy. Hee, I'm going to piss you guys off. Shi Sui just likes our mediocre Xiang E Oh my God, am I the only one who noticed that Shui is wearing slippers? The pair that he wore at home during the live stream. So he came here to see Sister E? KSWL. Dong Mei was dumbfounded. What's going on? Why isn't anyone criticizing Xiangyi anymore? In fact, there were still people who were criticizing her, but there were too many people who were indulging in candy. Hence, those comments were pushed down. However, Bai Wuxia, who was feeling guilty, accidentally saw this post on Weibo and hurriedly got his team to buy a trending topic. Hashtag Xiangyi acting like a big shot hashtag. He felt that the netizens didn't care about the truth, but rather, they just needed to vent their emotions. Hence, he wanted to take advantage of the situation and push Xiangyi to the peak of public opinion while he pretended that nothing had happened. He could even create the image of an old senior who didn't want to become famous. The power of trending topics was terrifying. As soon as the words were posted, countless netizens clicked on them. When everyone saw Dong Mei's news, the words acting like a big shot, superior, and medical resources easily stirred up emotions and poked at their sore spots. All of a sudden, the netizens got excited and pointed their keyboards at Xiangyi. No way, no way, no way. She's acting like a big shot? Oh, so celebrities are the privileged class now. Can't you treat this kind of minor injury yourself? They just had to occupy medical resources. Our country's doctors and nurses are already overworked. Don't you know how to reduce the burden on the medical staff? For a time, Xiangyi was once again caught in the whirlpool of a storm. Bai Wuxia also secretly bought some internet water army and bragged that he cared for the younger generation and did not put on airs. Unexpectedly, he received a very normal effect. Teacher Bai is so nice. Where else can you find such a senior? When Bai Wuxia became popular, Xiangyi was still drinking milk. She wants her senior to pay for her? That doesn't make sense. Senior White's acting skills are so good, but he doesn't have any roles or resources. On the other hand, a powerless artist like Xiangyi relied on live broadcasts to become famous. I'm speechless. Just as the netizens were flaming him the most, the director of National Mass Workout posted on Weibo. Laozhu next door, I was too busy just now and it was chaotic. Now, I want to clarify that Xiangyi V is not acting like a big shot. Today, during the recording of the show, an accident happened. Xiangyi was injured because she was trying to save someone. In addition, her injuries in the ambulance were not minor either. She had a knife wound on her face and a fractured wrist. At that time, there were other injured artists in the ambulance. The three of them were squeezed into one car. Our staff drove the car ourselves, so there was no issue of occupying medical resources. Netizens, please think carefully. Be careful with your words. Be careful. Chapter 451. The three exclamation marks expressed Director Zhu's indignation. Having been in the entertainment industry for many years, he could tell at a glance the twists and turns behind the hot search list. However, on account of Bai Wuxia's seniority, he didn't mention the fact that Bai Wuxia left Xiangyi in the lurch. The netizens who were scolding Xiangyi were dumbfounded. What? Is Xiangyi really that good? She's willing to sacrifice herself to save others. However, the focus of the Spicy Tutu fans was on the injury, and they all felt their hearts ache. Oh, what's going on? Oh my God, a knife wound? And on her face? And a bone fracture. What exactly happened? Xiangyi is so pitiful, her old mother is about to cry. There was a huge uproar on the internet. The lounge was quiet and cozy. Xiangyi scooped up steamed chestnut pumpkin with a spoon and ate it while Shui peeled an egg for her with his slender fingers. Is there anything else you want to eat? He asked. Xiangyi thought about it and tilted her head. Spicy hot pot. You can't eat spicy food now. I was just thinking about it. Don't even think about it. Shui handed her the peeled egg. Xiangyi was both upset and angry. She bit off half of the egg in one bite and choked until her face turned red. Fortunately, Shui poured her a glass of warm water in time. Eat slowly, he said in a helpless and doting tone. Xiangyi paused and changed the subject in order to hide her embarrassment. When did you find out about Xiao Naofu? Shui raised his eyebrows. Isn't it obvious? Which kitten knows how to act, and is so good at acting? Xiangyi was speechless. That's true. What else do you know? Xiang Yi asked tentatively. She was just asking casually, but to her surprise, Shui looked at her deeply and said, "The you from last year wasn't you, was it?" Xiangyi was speechless. Her eyes widened in shock. He can tell. Shui said gently, "After all, I'm a professional at acting." Many things could be acted out, but what was acted out was ultimately just an act. It wasn't completely real. Xiangyi recalled the scene of her transmigration and felt a little guilty. That me. Did I do anything to you at the hotel that day? Shui slowly picked up an apple and peeled it. There was a hint of teasing in her lazy voice. Sister He, do you think that you will succeed? He threw the question back. Xiangyi panicked even more. No, it can't be that something really happened, right? Are you okay? Were they bullied? Was she taken advantage of? Have you been wronged? The handsome man had a pair of deep and charming peach blossom eyes. Sister E, what are you worried about? Are you afraid that I'm not clean? Xiangyi's ears began to turn red as soon as she heard his flirtatious words. That's not what I meant. Cleanliness or not, it's all the shackles of the secular ethics. It shouldn't become prejudice and be taken to heart. Whoosh, Shui closed the distance between the two of them. His eyes were pure black as he stared at the young lady in front of him without blinking. So, Sister E, what you mean is that no matter what kind of person I am, Sister E won't mind. Xiangyi vaguely felt that his words were a trap. However, she trusted Shui too much and instinctively replied with a soft, yes. Then, what if I'm a bad person? Shui asked with a smile. Xiangyi retorted instinctively, no you won't. You're very, very good. Then, she saw the man in front of her curl his lips. What should I do? I don't want to be a good person at all. Chapter 452. Huh? Xiangyi's eyelashes fluttered. Before she could react, her eyes were covered. It was a sudden darkness. Shui. She called out to him in confusion. There was doubt in her voice. But she was not afraid. Shui paused in his movements. You. Xiangyi bit her lower lip and hesitated for a few seconds before asking, are you going to kiss me? Shui was speechless for a moment. Although he wanted to be a bad guy from the bottom of his heart, after being exposed, he felt a little embarrassed. The rational person in his heart and the devil person were in a fierce confrontation. Xiangyi's face was completely red. Even her voice was trembling, but she still pretended to be calm and indifferent. Then you can kiss me. Bang. It was like fireworks bursting in the sky at the end of the century. Her heart was racing at the speed of a 100-meter dash. Her ears were filled with chaotic noises. For a moment, time seemed to have stopped. Shui's clear throat moved. His voice was a little hoarse. Sister E, do you know what you are saying? Xiangyi said, Anan told me a phrase recently. I think it makes sense. I think I'm a little like an old pervert. Shui was stunned for a moment. After a moment, he laughed involuntarily. You're really whoosh. Her heartbeat slowed down. It was as if she had rolled on cotton candy in the clouds, wrapped in sweetness. Xiangyi waited for a long time, but he did not kiss her. She was a little nervous. She felt that Shui treated her differently. But she was not sure how much Shui liked her. Was it the same as her, or was it different from her? But now he was not even willing to kiss her, so it might be the latter. Because of the visual barrier, what she did not know was how hot and lustful the man in front of her was at this moment. He wanted to eat the little rabbit in front of him. He did not want to be a good person. Yet, he wanted to be a good person for her. Shui leaned close to her ear, and the warmth of his breath fell on the girl's slender white neck. Do you like me? Xiangyi said calmly, yes. Not a fan of mommies? I'm sorry, I've become a fan. It was dark in front of her, but her hearing was magnified. She keenly heard Sure Sui's low and deep laughter. He said, "Sister E, then I'll take it as you confessing to me." Xiangyi, was there something not quite right? There's no need for that. Sure Sui's words made Xiangyi's heart sink to the bottom of the valley like a roller coaster. Then there was a turn of events, as if he had ascended to the clouds. "Wifey fan, do you want to try?" Xiangyi suddenly pulled his hand away. In a moment of carelessness, she used her own broken hand. The pain made her suck in a breath of cold air. Sure Sui frowned slightly and pressed down on her restless hand. "Don't move." The girl's doe eyes were bright. "Do you like me?" Sure Sui did not answer. Clearly, in countless movies and dramas, he could confess to unfamiliar actresses. But at this moment, facing Xiangyi, he felt embarrassed. He looked a little helpless, licked the corner of his mouth, and was about to say something when he heard Xiangyi say firmly, "You like me." She used a statement which was firm and full of courage. Sure Sui was infected by her, and there was a happy smile on his face. "Yes, I like you, and you like me too." Xiangyi coughed and raised her chin proudly. "Then, we are in love with each other. Then, do you want to be my boyfriend?" Chapter 453. In the lounge, it was so quiet that only the sound of each other's breathing could be heard. Even the air seemed to have been tainted with a hint of sweetness. Xiangyi asked too frankly, probably because of her upbringing. She never felt that love was something that couldn't be said out loud. Love was meant to be expressed. Actions and words were both ways. Sure Sui also answered naturally. "Okay," he paused and smiled. "But I should be the one to say this first." "Xiangyi, then let's pretend to do it again, and you confess to me." A sly look flashed across the girl's eyes, like a little fox. But it was especially cute. Sure Sui was especially cooperative as he straightened his tie and cuffs in a serious manner. He even picked up a rose from a vase and said in a very ritualistic manner, "Xiangyi, would you like to be my girlfriend?" Xiangyi nodded her little head. Okay, boyfriend." The girl was childish, and her smile was pure and bright. Sure Sui picked up a half-peeled apple and was childish with her. "Girlfriend, do you want to cut the fruit into small pieces?" Xiangyi gestured with her hands. "Boyfriend, I want it this big." The two looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh at the same time. Sure Sui quickly peeled the apple, and the skin was not broken at all. Xiangyi sat on the bed wrapped in a blanket, eating the apple that Sure Sui fed her, and her happy little legs dangled in the air. When Annan came in, he saw her sweet and silly smile. How did Sister E become so stupid? Annan strode forward and reached out to touch Xiangyi's forehead. "Good girl, do you have a fever?" Before he could touch the corner of the girl's clothes, his hand was stopped halfway by a pair of big hands and tightly shackled. Sure Sui said neither too fast nor too slow. "There are differences between men and women." Annan blurted out, "You're already in the same room as Sister E. Aren't you a man?" "He's my boyfriend." After Xiangyi said that, she felt like a show-off. She shyly wrapped the blanket more tightly. "Annan?" His eyes widened as he looked at Sure Sui in disbelief. Just like that, Xiangyi was promoted. It took a few minutes for Annan to accept this reality. He gulped and said, "Good girl, if your brothers find out, what are we going to do? What will they do to Xiangyi's legs?" Crack, he made a gesture to interrupt. Xiangyi said, "No, I'll protect him." Sure Sui smiled. "Thank you, Sister E. It's great to have Sister E around. It's normal for a girlfriend to protect her boyfriend." Xiangyi looked calm on the surface, but her little body was twitching again. Annan looked at this scene in shock. "Xiangyi, why are you acting so natural with your gigolo face?" He risked his life and said, "Xiangyi, if you act like this, your fans might think that you're living off a woman." Sure Sui raised her eyebrows. "Can anyone live off a woman?" Annan, this? Many people can live off Sister E, but I'm the only one who can live off Sister E. Annan's eyes started to glaze over. "Who is it?" Shui's eyes suddenly turned sharp and shot out of the lounge. Anand quickly went to open the door and found a woman in her 30s secretly taking photos through the crack of the door with her phone. He said with a sullen face, "Madam, please delete the photos or videos." Being discovered, the woman panicked at first, then muttered softly, "Why are you being so fierce? Aren't celebrities supposed to be photographed by others?" Chapter 454. Anand was speechless. Ma'am, celebrities also have their personal time and space. You're violating their privacy and portrait rights. Dong Mei saw that the other party wasn't tall and had colorful hair. He looked like a hooligan, so she didn't take Anand seriously. She lied through her teeth. "I didn't take any photos. I was just looking." "Who took any photos? Don't talk nonsense and slander people. Which law says that ordinary people can't look at celebrities when they meet them?" Anand took a deep breath and resisted the urge to pull her hair. He tried his best to calm down and said, "Give me your phone. You can leave after I delete the photos." Dong Mei's eyes darted around and she had to stir things up. "My phone is my private property. Why should I give it to you? You're invading my privacy. Don't come over. Someone, nurse. Someone is robbing me." Anand was so angry that his head was buzzing. She was allowed to invade other people's privacy, but it was a crime for other people to legally defend their rights. He had never seen such double standards. Her voice was loud and the commotion was too loud. A nurse immediately rushed over to understand the situation. Dong Mei made the first move. "It's him. Nurse, look at his hooligan appearance. He even wants to snatch my phone. Your hospital service is really bad. How can you let such a person in?" Anand was speechless. The nurse had a headache and could only persuade both sides. Anand was still arguing, but when he turned his head, he found that the woman had sneaked away. F***CK, what kind of person is this? The difference between people is bigger than the difference between a human and a dog. Damn it. Sichuanbai had just gotten out of the elevator when he heard a certain little girl with colorful hair swearing. He coughed lightly. The next second, Anand quickly changed his words. "His mother's mother is called grandma, and his father's father is called grandpa." Sichuanbai's eyes were full of smiles, but on the surface, he still looked like a serious elite. "What happened?" Anand reluctantly recounted the whole story. Sichuanbai frowned. "I'm afraid that woman didn't secretly take 1 or 2 photos. Not long ago, a Weibo post was trending. Fortunately, Director Zhu came out to clarify. This hospital was located in a remote area, and there was not much traffic." He refreshed his Weibo. Sure enough, the other party had updated his Weibo, and his words were full of sarcasm. "Mei hua xiangzi ku hanlai. Oh my god, I can't stand how pretentious this female celebrity is. She even needs her assistant to feed her when she eats." What was even weirder was that there was a little hooligan beside her. His hair was dyed in different colors, and he looked like a delinquent. "I only took a few photos, and he actually scolded me. Luckily, I was quick-witted and insisted that I didn't take any photos. He couldn't do anything to me. In addition to the text, she also attached a few pictures that she had secretly taken." Dong Mei was proud of her cleverness. She had set the settings that she could only comment if she followed someone. Now, her Weibo followers had increased from dozens to thousands. She was very excited. If it could rise to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, wouldn't she be able to become famous on the internet just by scolding celebrities? How could he earn money while lying down at home? She didn't expect that she would fail this time. And it was a thorough search. As for the untimely couple fans, they welcomed another wave of celebration. "What assistant? This is Ingdi. Ingdi is feeding sister. I'm dead. Why are you feeding her with your hands? Use your mouth. Use your mouth. Do you hear me?" Chapter 455. The group of fans chewed on the candies and screamed like groundhogs. This couple must be the most genuine couple in the entertainment industry, right? The sweetest, right? It's not a loss to invest in them. Shursway's sister and Spicy Tutu's fans felt a little strange. Most people hoped that Shursway and Xiangyi would be beautiful on their own, but the two of them were so close they really couldn't help but think about it. Could it be something's really going on? For a moment, the fans of both parties were discussing what to do if this couple was real. In addition to the couple, Dong Mei was also ridiculed by a large number of netizens. I'm dying of laughter. You don't even know who Shursway is, and you keep calling him an assistant. You're twisting the facts, you know? Anan's little colorful hair has offended you. It's clearly very artistic. Even ordinary teachers can't dye it that way. The blogger's smug face is really disgusting. Xiangyi is a celebrity, but she's also a patient. Other things aside, secretly taking photos of her is really tasteless. Looking at the abusive comments on the screen, Dong Mei's expression froze. Public opinion on the internet changed rapidly. 1 second, they would praise you to the heavens, and the next second, they would trample you into the mud. Those who used public opinion as a sword to kill would definitely die by the sword. She deleted the latest Weibo post dejectedly, trying to pretend that nothing had happened. Unexpectedly, the netizens scolded her even more fiercely. Oh, you're feeling guilty already. Are you there? Why aren't you jumping out and prancing around? Are you visiting your mother's grave? Secretly taking photos is illegal. Be careful, Tutu Brother V's lawyer's warning letter. Dong Mei panicked and trembled as she typed. Mei Hua Xiangzi Kohanlai. I'm just an ordinary single mother who came to the hospital with her child and happened to bump into a celebrity. I don't know anything about the entertainment industry at all. I was just casually complaining, but I didn't expect it to attract attention. Let me go. Stop scolding me. As soon as this Weibo post was posted, some people's hearts softened when they saw the words single mother. They were all humans and had compassion. At the thought of a woman raising a child, it was indeed not easy. Hence, many people not only stopped scolding her, but they also deleted their previous comments. Dong Mei saw that the comments section gradually calmed down and heaved a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a nurse shouted, "Whose child is this? Why don't you think so?" Dong Mei went over with the intention of watching a good show. She didn't expect that the one who fell down the stairs was her son. The child's knees were bruised and his palms were scraped. The drip bottle was broken and the needle in his hand was bleeding again. It was a shocking sight. The nurse was carefully removing the needle for him. "Mommy, I'm not in pain." The child's eyes were wet. "I can't find you. Where did you go?" The surrounding people looked at him strangely, as if they were silently criticizing him. A fire of annoyance rose from the bottom of Dong Mei's heart. "Who told you to look for me? If you just stay there obediently and get in for a drip, do you know how to fall? You only bring me trouble every day." The child trembled in fear and said timidly, I just want to go to the toilet." An old granny next to her said unhappily, "The child is so young. How can you leave the child alone? As a mother, you are too magnanimous." "It's none of your business, old woman." Dong Mei roared and grabbed the back of her son's collar. "You're so annoying. How old are you? Can't you go to the toilet yourself?" The child was already at his limit when she grabbed him. He was so scared that he instantly peed his pants. The response he got was a slap from his mother. Chapter 456. Smack. The crisp sound made the people around them shudder in fear. Dong Mei scolded, "Will you die if you hold it in for a while longer? You're already so old, yet you still wet your pants. How disgusting. Are you deliberately trying to embarrass me? Why did I give birth to a son like you?" The child's face turned pale, as if he had done something terrible. He was so scared that his body began to tremble. The old lady from earlier said angrily, "What kind of mother are you?" The other passers-by were also very indignant. Not far away, a young man had recorded all of this on video, Dong Mei acted like a shrew in the hospital and scolded all the passers-by who were criticizing her. Only then did she take the child back to get an intravenous drip. The child was wearing soaked pants and didn't dare to speak or sit down for fear of dirtying the hospital chair. There were still nurses who couldn't bear to see him like this and found a pair of hospital pants for him to change into. "Thank you, sister." The child thanked her obediently. "You're welcome." The nurse smiled at him and raised her hand to ruffle his hair. When she returned to her shift, she vaguely heard some patients discussing things like, this video of her hitting the child is so popular, and people like her don't deserve to be parents." She glanced at it curiously and realized that the woman in the video was the pitiful child's mother. The nurse clenched her fists, feeling a sense of satisfaction. On this day, countless people's social media platforms were flooded by a small video. The way the mother treated the child in the video was jaw-dropping. That last slap and the child's tearful tears touched countless people's hearts. You have to take exams to get into school, but why don't parents have to take exams? She left her child alone and even hit him. Is this mother her biological child? After watching this video, I realized that not everyone in this world is worthy of being a parent. The anger of the netizens was astonishing. It didn't take long for someone to dig out Dong Mei's information. Her Weibo account did not escape the sharp eyes of the netizens. When they saw that she had posted on Weibo to slander Xiangyi, their anger doubled. The backlash of public opinion was also astonishing. Within a few minutes, her Weibo account was completely flooded. Later, Dong Mei's old classmate in real life also revealed that she wasn't a single mother at all. He even posted a screenshot of her family of 3 going on a trip. The evidence was irrefutable. The netizens who found out that they had been cheated were all furious. Was this woman treating them like monkeys? Dong Mei's phone was flooded with countless calls and messages. Even her husband's unit knew that she had hit the child and spread rumors. He might not even be able to keep his job. When she posted her first Weibo post, she never expected that retribution would come so quickly. The woman sat down on the hospital floor and cried bitterly. She regretted her actions. In the lounge, Si Chuanbai walked in and realized that the atmosphere in the room was different. He pushed up his glasses and asked calmly, "You two are together?" Annan followed behind him, his head full of question marks. No, how could Mr. Si tell at a glance? Xiangyi nodded. Sure Sui smiled. "Yeah, Sister E is my girlfriend, Annan." Sure Ingdi actually has such a childish side. Si Chuanbai was indeed a top manager. His first reaction was from the perspective of their work. Then, "Are you going to make it public?" This time, it was Sure Sui's turn to nod. However, Xiangyi said straightforwardly, "What if you two break up?" Sure Sui? You're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.